See, doesn't it look like porcupines? The little rice poking out. Look at the steam rise up. Oh dear. So I think this is turning out wonderfully. Well, hi, I'm Amy Roloff. So welcome to my little kitchen. Wow, I think in the last week, well, I shouldn't say the last week, a couple of days ago, I made Italian wedding soup, which is a meatball. Today, we are going to make a childhood memory of mine. It's probably a recipe that has been around in various ways for a long, long time, but I kind of grew up with it as a kid in the Midwest, Michigan. And I just remember my mom making these, and later on I made them, but I have not made them in a long, long time. In fact, if I've made this recipe with for my kids and family, I do not remember. So I'm excited to come back to this recipe. It's kind of a variation of a meatloaf. I think like a lot of dishes, they're variations of something that's basic, and we kind of elevate it or make it our own or turn it into something else, but we start with a basic. Anyway, we're making porcupine meatballs, and I love it because in the Upper Peninsula, we have the Porcupine Mountains. Now, why it is called a mountain, I don't know. It may be a little hilly. Maybe it's all the trees, sticking up, and, the pine trees and, stuff like that. I don't know, but we're making porcupine meatballs, which I think is really, really kind of cool. My biggest question is how do I want to cook my meatballs, and what do I serve the meatballs with? Porcupine meatballs have rice in it. So if I already have rice, do I also want to serve it with rice? So of course I asked Chris, and of course he says, no, mashed potatoes. So we might serve it with mashed potatoes with some green beans. Now my other question is, do I cook this in the oven, or do I make the meatballs and they simmer and cook in a nice rich like tomato sauce? So anyway, we'll go ahead and make the meatballs, and hopefully I'll make up my mind as to what I'm doing. So anyway, let's get going. So again, I'm gonna try and not make a ton of food because I think we're gonna be meatballed out, because I think, yes, I was in Michigan. Chris was over at our neighbor's house, hanging out with some other friends and everything. And somehow we're in like a meatball tomato sauce contest. So I'll be making meatballs again for spaghetti. So I have about a pound of hamburger here. Let me turn on this light. I have about a pound of hamburger here. Just gonna break this up a little bit. Could be slightly over, but start with, do a pound of hamburger. Tell you the truth, I probably bought a lot of hamburger, and I'm just using the rest of it. So we are just going to go with this. So about a pound of hamburger. Okay, I'll use this hand for salt. Definitely season your meat. Salt and pepper, and like everything else, salt and pepper. It's like your basics for making a soup. Onions, carrots, celery. That creates your basic, ingredients or whatever. Okay. We're gonna get a little bit of garlic in here because I love garlic. And these meatballs will not, except for the rice, won't be too different than the meatballs I will make. Got some skin on there that I will make for this contest that we're in. but you know, I will make this dish whenever I want. I mean, that's really how I cook. You know, what am I in the mood for? Obviously, I may not be in the mood for beef stew on a hot July summer day. But if it's cold, if I know it's going to be a little bit rainy or cooler in that summer evening, yes, I will go ahead and make beef stew. So that's the same for this recipe. I just don't save it for the winter or the fall time. So I have about 2 cloves of garlic here. I might put the rest of the garlic in with the sauce. So we're just gonna mince these up, or chop them up as fine as you can get. Because unless you want to make garlic meatballs, I don't think anyone really is in the mood to bite into, you know, kind of a large chunk. And I still don't know how I'm going to cook these. I think for like my spaghetti meatballs, I will saute them, brown them in a saute pan. Why that and not here? I think because of the rice, the dried rice in these meatballs, I think that will go, I think the process of cooking the meatballs in the sauce will be a lot better. Okay, then we're gonna add just a little bit of parsley. Oh no, wait a minute. Yeah, we're just gonna add a little bit of parsley here. We're gonna add, I'm just saying maybe about a 1/4 cup of onion. Maybe a third cup. I'm just gonna put a hint of Italian seasonings, just a hint. That's enough. I don't want them to turn into, and then definitely an egg. And then we'll mix, you know what, yeah, I guess a fork's good. I was gonna see maybe if I wanted a spoon. But you do kind of wanna mash this together. And when you do add the rice, you may want, obviously, well, not obviously. Like I said, it's been a while since I've made this, so I'm kind of, not winging it, but I'm kind of going by memory and looking at some other different recipes here. So I'm gonna add the egg, but you're adding dry rice to the meatballs, so you need some moisture, even though it is in the sauce, to kind of help it along. And like I said, I don't cut onions in front of you guys because it's a hot mess. My eyes just water so much. I do notice though that if I cut a fresh onion and only use half of it, but stick the other half in the fridge, it's not so bad when I bring that other half out and cut it, like I am here. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, just a little bit more. I want to know what you guys like. You know what? You know what's really hard for me to find in the grocery store, at least where I live, is kosher salt. I can find flaked sea salt, fine sea salt, coarse sea salt, and obviously your regular Morton salt. I prefer, we have a local company here, Jacobsen's. I really like Jacobsen's salt. You know, and besides, they're a local company. I want to support them. They're doing great. They have all these varieties of salt. I like their lemon black pepper salt and just a lot of stuff. So anyway, okay, I think that is good. I'm gonna add a little bit of paprika. I would say that's probably about a half a teaspoon. Okay. And I have about a 1/3 cup of rice. You can probably go up to a half, but I don't know. I just felt like that was a little bit too much. So I'm adding a 1/3 cup. which just by pouring it in here, I'm thinking that might not be enough. And I'm using a long grain rice. I think because when they cook, it's longer and it will poke out like a, you know, like a little porcupine. Isn't that cool? Okay. Okay, I forgot to get my water, so I will be right back. I think I might go ahead and just add a little bit more rice here because I have a feeling I have a little bit more than a pound of rice. So if I added a third, I'm just gonna add just a little bit more. That'll make it like about a half. Yeah. Okay. And you know what? You know, to make this even, I don't know if you want to call it a little more nutritious, use brown rice. Okay. Let me go get that water. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it. And I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribe to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you and back to the video. Okay, I probably had all of this stuff in front of you guys. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, here is my meatballs. And one of the reasons I am going to add a little bit water in here because I do not want the rice to take up all of the moisture within the meat and then cause a kind of dried meatball. So we're just gonna use let me get it, measuring spoon. We're just gonna do like a couple of tablespoons, just 1, 2. Just 2 tablespoons of water just to give this meat a little moisture and help with the rice. Okay. I definitely think I have more than a pound. Okay, before I start making these into meatballs, the big decision is how am I gonna cook this? Tell you the truth, I think I'm really gonna cook them in a sauce. I wanna see how that goes. And if I do cook them in the sauce, it will take a little bit longer to cook, so I'm thinking about an hour. So we're gonna head on over to the stove here because I've got to prepare the sauce. So the meatball mixture is ready. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and make our sauce. And I think what I'm gonna do here, instead of going directly to the big saute pan there, is that I'm just gonna mix everything together here, pour it in there, start heating it up, and then making my meatballs here, and then we'll put them in there. Ow, my finger got stuck. Okay, so I have 1 can, about 15 ounces or 14 point whatever. This is crushed tomato puree. I thought that would be very good. I like to get everything out as best I can. It's so funny because it's just Chris and I, and my kids have been so busy, and now we're in the holidays. I really am trying not to make so much food for us that we're wasting it. And here I am worried about a little bit in the can, but I don't know. This is good stuff. So here we are, a can of just tomato sauce. I should have a spoon here. get all that out. So we got tomato sauce. I'm gonna add in a little bit of red pepper flakes. I just wanna give it that little bit of heat. I would like to add some Worcestershire sauce. Did I say that right? Worcestershire sauce. Oh, that might be enough. Because, I mean, you're having beef. Oh, I don't have this other one open. I thought for sure that would be have plenty in there, but I don't know. I just want a little bit more. I have tomato paste just in case. I don't know. I would definitely say like maybe 2 tablespoons. A little bit of salt, because I do try and get low sodium so I can monitor my own sauce. And if you think it's a little bit too acidity, I'm gonna add in some parsley here. I'm gonna chop up some of this garlic here. I think that'll be nice in the sauce. I know there's garlic in the meatballs, but we're gonna hopefully complement everything here. So here we go. You know what? My mind is going in 50 million directions here, because what else do I want to add to my sauce? I could add a little bit of onion. But I'm also not pureeing this like I do in my marinara sauce. Like I'll definitely saute the onions and a little bit of the garlic, but I use an immersion blender for that. So we're gonna omit. I just want a really rich, hopefully, rich tomato sauce here. And that's why I think the tomato paste will really help out here. I think I've gotten the garlic here as minced as I can be. So we're gonna add that in there. Okay, there we go. It smells so good already, you guys. Okay. I'm gonna see how much meatballs I have first. I'm gonna see, because I did have a little bit over a pound here, just because I misquoted. And so we're gonna get a little pan here. I just want to see how many meatballs I have here. Okay, there we go. You would not think a pound of meat was all that much, but it sure does look like it. Okay, where's a spoon? Where's a spoon? I just get a little teaspoon. I don't know, I kind of like my meatballs a little rough. Okay, there's one. Two. So I'm going to continue on doing this, making my meatballs. Hopefully they'll all be the same size, but we are making porcupine meatballs. We're going to see these the rice peek out of that, and it'll be like a porcupine. Okay, I will finish making this up and we'll head on over to the big pan over here. Okay, I got my meatballs done. So look at that, porcupine meatballs with rice in them. So we are gonna go over to the saute pan and put these on there and then pour the sauce over there and let them cook. I would say this will take anywhere between 40, 45 minutes, depending. So let's go do that. I'll bring you guys over. Okay. There's my pan that I'm going to use, my cast iron pan. There we go. I'm just going to tilt you guys down here just a tad so that you guys can see. There we go. All right. I have my sauce here. And then what is tomato sauce without a little oil? So I'm just going to place these in here. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Oh, my pan is definitely hot. Just going to move them around a little bit. I don't want to scrunch them all up. Definitely thought this pan was going to handle these many meatballs. Okay. So I've got the meatballs in the pan, people. And we're going to pour the sauce over it. And we're just going to let them cook right in here. Kind of cover the meat up within the sauce. I would cook this on medium low. Then I'm going to place a lid over this so a lot of the heat doesn't escape. So there we go. Okay. This is a new way for me to do this, so you guys are going to experiment with me. Will this lid fit? Yeah, this lid will fit. Okay, there we go. We're going to let this all heat up. We're going to have porcupine meatballs. Here, I want to get you guys maybe a little bit closer here. So yeah. So they'll cook right in there. I don't want it to boil away, so I may have to turn this down a little bit. Okay, I think I'm ready to dish up dinner. The porcupine meatballs are done, and I think they turned out wonderfully. So I'll bring the pan over here so y'all can see. Oh, it was a little hot. So look at this. I think they came out really well. See, doesn't it look like porcupines? The little rice poking out. Look at the steam rise up. Oh dear. So I think this is turning out wonderfully. So I will dish up. Okay, dinner is served up. Porcupine meatballs. So it's basically ground beef with rice and seasonings, cooked in a nice rich tomato sauce. So porcupine meatballs. You can find this recipe over on my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, and I would so appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to it as well, because you'll find this. Plus, I will try and do a couple of other things on that channel as well. So anyway, thanks for being in my little kitchen. So see you next time. Look at this, it's gonna be luscious. And of course, I've got more soup that I'm sure Chris and I are gonna be able to eat for a little bit. But at least we'll have some leftovers. So yeah. Well, hi everyone. I'm Amy Roloff, and I'm in my little kitchen. It will still be Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, even though I am married now. Amy Roloff Merrick. It'll still be Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. Anyway, I'm so excited to be back. It has been a busy summer planning my wedding, and so I haven't really been kind of rushing around in the kitchen and really making some really quick meals, but just not enough time to do a video on some of them. So the soup that I am making now, because we're coming into fall, and I'm really into soups and stews and casseroles and things like that, or a one pan dish kind of like. So anyway, look for some of those recipes over on my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. And so I'll be making some of those recipes. But for tonight, like I said, since it's fall, it's after my wedding, it's pumpkin season, I'm dressing up in all these crazy costumes. I thought it'd be really kind of cool to start off with what I think, not an easy soup, but it's definitely a very flavorful soup. I think meatballs. This is really good. But anyway, Italian wedding soup. So that's what I'll be making today, and I hope you enjoy it if you haven't already made it. I know there's different varieties of meatballs that you could use for this. I'm not saying that this is traditional, but I like the ground chicken, for the majority of the meatball. I'm also adding in ground pork. The ground pork really came from the pigs that were raised on the farm that Chris and I bought some of the pig meat. Anyway, so we're gonna make Italian wedding soup today. I thought that was very fitting because it's after my wedding. So if you hear some humming noise, I have the dishwasher going because I forgot to start it earlier today. And I also have the oven heating up because that is how I'm gonna cook my meatballs. In fact, that's really how I cook a lot of meatballs if I'm feeding a lot of people or I'm making a lot of meatballs. It's just easier just to, kind of brown and bake them in the oven. I usually line this baking sheet, which I have, with parchment paper, and then put like a cookie rack or, like a cookie rack on top of it, so that whatever fat content, that will drain on the bottom, but kind of not make a whole mess on the cleanup. So anyway, we're gonna start with the meatballs. I have about a pound of ground chicken and about a pound of ground pork. Sorry about that. It's ground pork, or I would use a very mild sausage. I don't want these, overpowering, but you definitely want flavor to it. And so I do have a very mild, not heavily seasoned pork sausage in this. So anyway, it's about a pound. Use a pound and a half if you're feeding a lot of people. This is just gonna be Chris and I, and I'm sure we're gonna be having soup tonight. We're gonna be having soup tomorrow. I'm not sure a third day, but hey, I guess there's nothing wrong with leftover soup. Anyway, so to that, you know what? I forgot my garlic and my egg. So, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go get that. move this meat over here because I forgot my garlic and my egg. So we're just gonna kind of mince up some garlic here, because what's a meatball without garlic? And besides, I'm a fan of garlic. I've made this soup before lots of times, and sometimes when I've made it for a large group of people, I add in more meat but not enough broth, and so I gotta add more broth to it, or too many. You want these really little pastas, like orzo, it looks kind of like a rice, or those, I don't know all the different names of the pasta offhand, or the little circular ones, they're really little. So any small type of pasta would really be good with this soup. So really the big piece of the soup is the meatballs, because I guess that's the main thing. So you really want them to be flavorful. So I'm just gonna peel this. Oops, I should have smashed it first, okay. Boy, if you wanna know how strong you are, I guess smash a garlic. Just gonna slice it up and then kind of mince them as best I could. So that's about 2 cloves, but I'm definitely gonna add in another one because I love garlic. And what I'm gonna do after that is, I've already cut up my celery. I'm gonna cut up maybe another small piece of carrot or 2. And you know, you kind of want, I don't know, I'll probably use close to a cup maybe. Cup of carrots, maybe about a half a cup of onions. I've really minced the onions as best I could. And I really want to mince up these garlics, because when you take a bite into the meatball, you don't want to have this big chunk of garlic, not in a meatball. Maybe in something else, but not here. So one thing I'd love to know is, what are some of your favorite soups? I sometimes think some of the entree meals that we make, you can kind of make a version of a soup of it. So I'm gonna make this one soup later that I really don't like the main entree of it, but I think in the soup it'll be pretty good. So here we are, 3 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna flop them in here like that. Definitely season your meat, but if you are using any kind of sausage, you know, be careful with that, because usually the sausage meat already has some salt in it, so you don't want to make it too salty. So I don't know, probably a teaspoon or something. And that. Some pepper. I'm gonna put in my egg. Okay. And then what else do I need? Oh yeah, a couple tablespoons of milk. Whoa. It's about 1, 2. All right, I got a little fork. Just gonna mix this around a little bit. And that, what else will make this meatballs really good too? I usually use dried breadcrumbs, but this time I'm gonna mix it up and use a combination of white bread crumbs, like really broken up, and mixed in with some panko breadcrumbs. And you're asking me why? Because I think the white bread will keep the meat moist, tenderized, where the panko breadcrumbs will soak up some of that flavor and keep it in the meatball. Oops. No meat will go on there anyway. Okay, now we're ready for the cheese and the breadcrumbs. I added the salt and pepper. Oh yeah, and the parsley. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there, and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. So I added some salt, pepper. We added in the egg and the garlic. We're gonna add in about, I think a half a cup, maybe a little bit more of the cheese. That'll really give it some, and this is Parmesan cheese. So I'm gonna add that all in there. Mix that in. Oh. I mean, you guys, it already smells good. Then I'm gonna add in some of the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs is, maybe about a half a cup. And if you feel that your meatballs are still a little wet, go ahead and add in just a little bit more breadcrumbs. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot the parsley. And then I have the oven on about 375. And these shouldn't take too long depending on how big you make them. But I usually take about 25 to 30 minutes. Add some of that parsley. I probably should have minced it a little bit more. So now you're gonna ask me how much parsley. I would probably say at least 1/4 of a cup. But always go to my YouTube channel at amyroloffslittlekitchen.com and look at the recipe. Because after I make it, I go back and refine I refine the recipe that I just did. Because I often think, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or more of that. But this is, you get the basic gist of it. I know, I cannot believe Chris and I have been married over a month already, a month and a half. I mean, I tell you, it has gone by so fast. I almost wish the actual wedding day could last 2 days to really appreciate everyone that came to our wedding and just to talk and say hi to everyone, because there's family members that we don't get to see very often. There's even friends that we don't get to see very often that came to our wedding, and we are so, so appreciative of all that. It was a very lovely day, and I will say, hopefully you'll watch the episode when it comes out, because here I was the one that wanted us to write our vows, which I so, so cherish. Chris made me cry. Oh, it was just lovely. It was just awesome. I was just like, oh, this man. This is why you married him. Anyway, okay, let's get going to making some meatballs, getting them in the oven. And I've done a lot of the other prep, but we'll go ahead and saute the vegetables, get the broth going, and maybe the meatballs will be done by then. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, I just got done making the meatballs. Well, here, can you see these here? So I have about 40 of them. So the meat quantity should make about 40. I have a little bit over 40, but that's okay. If you don't want to put them in the soup, you can definitely use it for something else. And I know a lot of people use like a little meatball or little ice cream scooper or whatever you want to call it. I just use a regular teaspoon. I don't know. I just like me being able to touch and form the meatball and stuff. So you just got to make sure though, when you're handling meat, to make sure you wash your hands with hot water, hot soapy water, before you go ahead and touch anything else. I'm sure you all know that, but I just want to let you know. Anyway, let's stick this in the oven, and like I said, it should maybe take about 30 minutes, if not a little bit longer, depending on your oven, so check it. We're gonna put these in here. Get these other little meatballs going. So yeah. I thought I lost my timer. Here we go. So I'm gonna set it for 35 minutes. We'll check it at that time. So anyway, and with the leftover meatballs, if you don't use them for the soup, maybe you can make like a really nice glazed sauce and use them for an appetizer. Okay, I got my garlic in there. I'm going to use this bowl and kind of scoop that all in. All of that stuff. We'll just cut up a few more carrots here. I think I have enough, but since I have a few carrots here, I just thought I know these are little carrots because you know what? I thought I had, you know, like regular carrots, you know, the long ones and stuff, and realized that I didn't have any of that. I think Chris is trying to train me, which is probably a good thing, to kind of really use up what I have in the refrigerator instead of everything getting lost and I keep piling on new ingredients. So I figured I'll go ahead and use these carrots. They'll work. And I think most soups, depending on the soup, this is your base. This is your base, a very good broth. Have I ever? I don't think I've ever made homemade broth. It is a long process. I think if you did cook a chicken, a very good chicken, you can use all of that meat, part of the soup. I'm going to try my next soup that I'm gonna make, or one of these times, I'm really gonna try and recreate my grandmother's homemade chicken soup. I'm gonna talk to my cousin and stuff because we talk about it all the time and we so wish we had her recipe. That is the one thing that I enjoyed so much. At Easter time, I think we usually had it. So anyway, so here we go. I usually like my onions. Where's my onions? I usually like sauteing the carrots a little bit to get the raw taste out of it, along with the onions and the celery. I mean, it's not a necessity. You could have the broth water, you know, heat it up and cook it that way. But I don't know, I just think it adds a little more depth of flavor if the very core basics of your soup kind of get sauteed a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you guys right on over here. I think you can see me there, I hope. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this going. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil. Get that heated up. I'm even gonna add a little bit of butter. I still like a little bit of butter when I do sauteed vegetables and that. Again, I think it just adds a little depth of flavor. It's not a lot of butter. I mean, look at that. What, maybe a teaspoon or something? So we'll just get this heated up for a minute. So yep. I love my Le Creuset Dutch ovens, pots. What else? Frying pans or saute pans, just love them. Okay, I think we're gonna just gonna start with the carrots first. Let them saute a little bit. because I just think they take a little bit longer. Then I'll add in the onions and celery. We're gonna just drizzle a little bit of salt. Where's my pepper? A little bit of pepper. You probably can't see it in there, can you see? So I'm just gonna saute these a little bit for, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. Just to get that raw taste out of there before I add in the onion. Before I add in the onion and the celery. Okay, we're gonna slowly add in about, I'm gonna say probably about 10 cups of broth. And I'm using a low sodium broth because I've already added salt in here, and I think it's just a better, or no salt. I think it's just a better way to control your salt content. So that is one. Instead of that one, that's 1 cup. Let's do this one. This is 2 plus 1, that's 3. 4, 5. Oh, guess my spinach is ready. That's 5. This will be 6, 7. 8, 9. And I'm probably just gonna go ahead and just use the rest of this. So that'll probably definitely make 10 cups. Now you know why I probably overflow it. I'm hoping that my meatballs don't overflow, because I thought for sure this would be a big enough pot. We're gonna go ahead and add about a cup of wine, white wine. And I think this is, well, it's 3/4. 3/4 is good, but maybe a cup. Try a cup of white wine. I think this really adds depth of flavor, and it adds that little bit of freshness. Not quite lemon juice, but I think it definitely adds flavor to this soup. Besides, it's Italian wedding soup. So we're just gonna let this cook for a little bit, kind of cook out some of that alcohol in here, and then we'll get going. And then we will add the pasta. Okay, all I can say is that this soup is smelling pretty good right now. There's nothing more comforting than soup to me. So we are going to go ahead, the wine's in here. We're gonna go ahead and add in about, I picked orzo. We're gonna go ahead and add in about a cup of this, let it cook in the broth, absorb some of that good flavor. I'm just gonna add that to it. And it will take, I don't know, this is small pasta, so it's not gonna take that long. But I'm gonna say about, maybe 8 minutes. Just keep checking it. Put a lid over it slightly. And then let it cook. I mean, soup is so easy. I think the hardest part is cutting up all the ingredients. But anyway, we're gonna let the pasta cook, and the meatballs are almost done. Okay, my pasta is done. Like I said, when you're using just such tiny little pasta, it really doesn't take that long. But what I really want to show you is the meatballs. They have turned a nice golden brown, and all of that is gonna go in here. So let's make it happen. Okay, just gonna put some of these in here. I should try one, shouldn't I? This is good. And I think, you know, if you want to use slightly bigger pasta, that's okay, but I definitely wouldn't use like a penne or something like that. The meatballs are the main star of this, and the little pasta just kind of makes it, I don't know, just something different and delicate. So I just got those meatballs out of the oven, and we are going to add a little bit of greens in here. I would normally prefer spinach, and the recipe that I give you will say spinach, but I didn't have any like I thought I did. And so I'm just using kale. I just heated that up a little bit just to kind of cook it a little bit so it's not too tough. So we're just gonna add kale to this and have that simmer in the soup a little bit. But I mean, look at this. This is gonna be luscious. And of course, I've got more soup that I'm sure Chris and I are gonna be able to eat for a little bit. But at least we'll have some leftovers. So yeah. And it's amazing how I forget how pasta cooks up. So like I said, we're just gonna let this simmer for a little bit. I'd say about 10 minutes so that everything can blend in together. So yeah, Italian wedding soup. Okay, we are done. Italian wedding soup is done. Look at all that lusciousness. Okay, it's much later than I thought to get this on the table. And Chris is hungry, I hope. So we're just gonna scoop that up. Get some of that broth. There we go. We have soup on the table. This is Italian wedding soup in Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen tonight. So go to my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. Give this recipe a try and stay warm. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I like it.
Me too. No.
And I don't think it's too sweet.
No, actually, it's just a little bit of tartness, which is good. No, I like it. I think this is a good breakfast dessert. I'm eating fruit. I feel like I'm eating something healthy. Look at all this fruit.
Hi, you guys. Welcome to my little kitchen. I'm Amy Roloff. And so, welcome to fall. I'm going to try and do a little bit of fall baking, make some things that I haven't made in a long time, but I want to do it for you on video. And one of those things is I'm going to try and take like the late summer, early fall fruits, such as a pear, and we are going to make a pear apple tart. Now I'm not going to make the tart in a typical tart pan or using a puff pastry. I'm going to do probably one of my favorite things because it's kind of rustic. You don't have to exactly be perfect, but you want to really try and get it as round as you can and just kind of fold the edges over. But that's like the crostini or galette. So we're going to do, oops, that means my oven is ready. So we're going to do an apple pear tart with cranberries. I know, I'm going to give that a little shot, little kind of fall thing going on here. And I would probably use walnuts, but because I live in Oregon now, hazelnuts are the biggest nut here. So I'm just to add a little bit of crunch, but a little kind of earthy, rustic, nuttiness to it. I'm gonna really crunch up some hazelnuts and put that over there. So anyway, let's get going. First of all, we're gonna start with the crust. I have about 1.5 cups of flour here. I'm making a little bit smaller of a crostini or galette. Since it's only Chris and I here, we can't eat all of this stuff. No wonder I've gained weight, especially during COVID, and now we're in our 2nd year of all this stuff. Oh, I blame it on that, but I think it's more me. I haven't gotten out or moved and everything like that. So anyway, I have about 1/2 cup of flour, regular all-purpose, really good flour. And then I'm gonna use a local person that I got this at the farmer's market. It's kind of like this great grains ground flour. It's not quite wheat. It's not rye or any of that, but I think it's gonna add that little bit of texture to the flour and the crust. I don't know how better else to explain it, tell you the truth, you guys. So I'm gonna add a little bit of salt in here. Just a pinch. I'm definitely gonna add a little bit of sugar since I've got some fruit going on in here, and especially with the cranberries. You could use dried cranberries, but I'm using frozen cranberry and I have a little bit of sugar in them. So I think that's about enough. So is that it? Yes. I'm trying to remember everything I've got to do here. Because you know me, sometimes I forget. But I'm so excited about fall. And well, I'm excited, but I'm also kind of upset at myself. Just gonna mix that dry stuff in there a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and cut in the butter. This is typically like a regular pie crust dough, but this time I'm gonna add in a little bit of egg yolk just to kind of bind it together and give that little bit of richness to the crust. This is a 1/2 stick, or well, 1 stick of butter, which is about 8 tablespoons. I forgot to get my knives over here. So I'm just gonna cut this into chunks. Ooh, got stuck on the knife. Because I cut them into chunks, since I am doing this by hand, it's just easier to mash it up with the pastry cutter. One of my favorite things, pastry cutters. You guys, I really don't know why I have such a propensity of not using my food processor. I just don't know why. Maybe because partly I think it's more work to get it out, just to do a little bit of pulse. But I will tell you this, if you do make your crust and everything in a food processor, I think it really incorporates the butter and all the other stuff that you put in with the flour a little more refined, a little better than doing this by hand. So that's about 8 tablespoons. Then we're just gonna do a little bit of shortening because I think that really kind of gives a little bit of texture there. So maybe just about a tablespoon, maybe 2. There we go. Oops. I might need this. Let's get some of this out of the way here. Okay, let's start blending in the butter and the shortening to our flour and get this crust going, because I want to put it in the refrigerator and then we'll start on the fruit. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. Okay, I did put the butter in here, but I think the thing I forgot to do was to put in a little bit of sugar. I don't think I did that. I talked about it, but I don't think I did it. So we're just gonna do maybe a tablespoon. I think that'll be good, just to give it a little bit sweetness. At least I don't remember. I tasted the flour, and it tastes like flour. So we're just gonna use our, you know what? We're gonna use our arm muscles and our pastry blender and mash in this butter and a little bit of the shortening until it resembles like little crumbs. I would say like coarse sand. I don't know, you guys, I just really like doing it this way. I don't know if it's just I just feel more connected to it, to what I've made. And if it fails, then it's me. Not that I can say, oh, it's the food processor's fault. But it's still you, because I'm the one that operated the food processor. I'm just gonna keep going at this. Oh, I think the thing I forgot to finish was, I love fall. I cannot believe we're almost in, not quite the middle of October, early October, and I have not decorated my house yet. I got back from visiting my dad in September. I threw my daughter-in-law, Isabel, a baby shower. Then trying to play catch up on my emails and figuring out maybe some recipes that I want to make for y'all and get that on video. That here I am in October, and I'm like, my most favorite season besides Christmas and spring and summer. Basically, I like the change of seasons. That I just forgot to decorate. So I got a couple of pumpkins. They're outside my front door. I've got sunflowers. My guest bathroom. What? Chris walked into the room, so I thought I'd better not talk about my bathroom. Well, one of the things I was gonna say about my bathroom is that I kind of, you know, it's a thing we all gotta do, but kind of want to make people feel like they're in a little garden. So now I'm going to put sunflowers and all that other good fallish stuff so that they can appreciate fall. Anyway, I'm not sure why I said that. Okay, I think this is pretty good. Before I put a little bit of egg yolk in here, and some water, I want to just taste it for a moment and make sure. Yeah, I like that. Just enough sugar not to over sweeten the pie crust. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna finish up this pie crust here so I can get it in the oven and actually have a little bit of dinner. Where did my yolk go? Here's my little yolk. That'll kind of give the crust a little bit of richness and help with binding. Okay. Oh yeah, wait a minute, I forgot the water. Let me just get water here. I'm gonna try and measure this as best I can. 1, 2, 3. 3 little tablespoons. Use my fork. Okay. Oh yeah, I think 3 tablespoons is just about enough. Cause I don't want it too moist, I don't think. And especially with me using that other grain flour, because that'll really soak up the water too. So if you're just using regular flour, I think 3 tablespoons will still be enough too. But if you think it's too dry, just add a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna do a little tart here. Okay. And then you know what? In all actuality, I probably could put it in a little tart pan and have it more of a formal tart. So I'm really gonna try and make this as round as I can. Okay, since we've got that in here, I'll get some saran wrap. I hate doing saran wrap. It always sticks to each other, and I'm just gonna kind of put it back in the bowl. Just like that, put it in the fridge, and we're gonna get going on the fruit. So we're doing the apples and the pear for the apple pear cranberry tart or crostini. So I'm gonna finish up this pear. I didn't peel the pear. I didn't think it was necessary, so I hope it's not. But if you wanna peel a pear, I guess you could. But I am peeling the apple. Because one thing that I think I have found when doing apples, especially for like an apple pie, apple crisp or anything, is that the apple either shrinks or whatever, but it separates itself from the skin, and who wants to eat apple peel? Anyway, the pears I did not do. So the amount of pears that I put in here were 3, and I put in 4 apples. But it really depends on the size. These were kind of just small to medium size apples. And I would recommend, like anything else, like for an apple pie or an apple crisp, is to use a firmer apple, such as like Honeycrisp. I think I've had good luck with Fuji or Gala or Granny Smith, of course. These were from the local farmer's market, and to tell you the truth, I really forgot how delicious they are, but they may not be the best for this apple tart. Look at how easy they come apart. I think these are Gravestine apples, and they are delicious. And I don't even know if I've ever had a Gravestine apple when I lived in Michigan. Macintosh were really, and I think Macintosh and Jonathan, I think, were really good apples when I was in Michigan. But I don't remember my mom getting Gravestine. So I don't know if it's a Northwest apple, Washington apple, or whatever it is, but they are delicious. But they may not be the best for this, so we'll see. So I'm not cutting them as thin as I probably normally would on a crisper, firmer apple, because if you cut them too thick on a firmer, crisper apple, it'll take too long to cook, and by the time your pie crust and everything else. So anyway, so we're just gonna get a spoon, mix this up. Hang on here. I gotta move my stool over because I don't have enough room. Or I don't know where my other one is. So I'm just gonna kind of stir this up a little bit. And I have a little bit of ginger, allspice, and cinnamon here. I have maybe about, oh yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna mix the allspice and cinnamon. That's gonna go in the other mixture. I do have a little bit of sugar in here. I would say a couple of tablespoons of sugar, but I've also mixed in some cornstarch because I have a feeling this might be a little juicy, so I'm hoping the cornstarch will help thicken up some of the sauce, some of the juice. Anyway, I'm just gonna do a couple of shakes, ginger. So it might be a quarter of a teaspoon. Just mix this up a little bit. So I'm definitely not doing a lot here. Mixed in with just a couple little squeezes of lemon juice, because I'm hoping my apples don't turn too brown. So we're just gonna stir that up a little bit. Then I'm going to mix in my cranberries. You want to know how much this is? This is probably an oversized half a cup of cranberries. I don't want to put a lot in here because I want the apples and the pear to be emphasized. And if you don't want cranberries in it, don't put cranberries in it. Maybe add a few more apples or pears, or one more apple and pear. But I just thought this would add like a really good, colorful, hopefully they don't all sink to the bottom. I probably should have just, you know what I probably should have done? Was probably just sprinkled the cranberries over the tart, but I didn't. I'm gonna clean up the cutting board so I can get this all prepped and ready to just chop up just a few hazelnuts. I want a rough chop, but I'm gonna go a little more. I don't want to mince, but I would say a little bit of finely chopped. You don't want too much crunch in there, but I just thought it'd be really good. In fact, I even may just sprinkle them on top along with this sugar, kind of brown sugar crumble base. So we'll get going. Hey, I cleaned up my mess a little bit. Got my pie crust out. I'm gonna see how this rolls out. Again, sometimes using a different flour, you're not sure. I'm gonna try and get this into a circle as best I can. This kind of like unprocessed grain flour. Well, unprocessed meaning it hasn't been run through the mill 50 million times, but I'm hoping it will give that nice little crunch to it. We're just gonna fix it up here a little bit. Just gonna fold up the edges so I can make it more round. Because it is kind of falling apart. Might have to forego this and make my dough again. Which that has happened, people. Or I'll just make cookies out of this. How about that? And just put it like a little maple glaze around it. Because I don't want to put all the fruit on here and have it fall apart. That would really bum me out. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go see if this works. Phew. This is a much easier tart and process than what I probably made it on this video. But sometimes when something doesn't work out, if you can, you just redo it. So that's what I did here. I redid it on my pie crust because the type of flour that I mixed in with regular all-purpose flour didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to be. But that's why I love being in the kitchen. You know, it's trial and error, and you guys are, you know, on this journey with me, regardless of how long I've been cooking and or attempting to bake. But we're ready to put this in the oven now. I have it preheated at 400 degrees. I'll bake this for about 10 minutes and then turn it down to 375 and then continue to bake it for maybe about 20 to 25 minutes depending until the crust is a nice golden brown. So wish me luck. Phew. I'll see you in about maybe a half hour. Oh, we'll be back in Amy Roloff's little kitchen. Well, it's the next day and I think the pear apple cranberry tart looks absolutely fabulous. I cannot wait to taste it. Anyway, it was fun making this dessert dish. Even though I ran into some problems with the pie crust using a different type of flour, I'm gonna have to learn how to do that a little bit more on using different types of flours. But I think this absolutely looks fabulous. I hope it tastes just as delicious. And so I'm gonna have Chris come over here and he's gonna be my little taste tester. Anyway, I think it looks great. So where did my knife go? Here we go. I'm gonna cut us a slice. And hopefully this will taste. Hopefully he will think it tastes good. Whoa. So yeah, definitely look at my recipe. I think one of the changes I would probably make is, because this isn't a flat tart, you know, the fruit is piled up, I would probably cut up the apple and pears in big chunks instead of these bigger slices of the fruit. But other than that, I think it looks fabulous. Let me get a couple of the cranberries in there. Okay. Hey babe, you want to come over here? Doesn't it look fabulous?
I thought you would never ask.
Okay babe. Here it is. I mean, it looks good, doesn't it?
It does. It looks
I
delicious.
hope it tastes well, because I had issues with the crust. I was so mad at myself. Just so mad. But anyway.
Okay.
I think the thing I would do is cut the fruit in chunks instead of big slices
I'm
like
glad already I can tell just by cutting it that the fruit's very soft in a dessert like this. You know, I like it soft, not firm.
Oh yeah, okay. Ooh, crust is very buttery. I like it.
I do too. No.
And I don't think it's too sweet.
No, actually, it's just a little bit of tartness, which is good. No, I like it. I think this is a good breakfast dessert. If I'm eating fruit, I feel like I'm eating something healthy. Look at all this fruit.
Well, this is a dessert, but yes, I think you can have it for breakfast too. But I like the cranberries. They add a little tartness to it as well. You know, but it's not overpowering. Well, babe, I'm so glad you liked it.
Good job.
Anyway, follow Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen on my YouTube channel. You can find this apple pear cranberry tart and all of the other recipes and videos over there. So thanks for being in my kitchen. But anyway, this is pumpkin cheesecake in my little kitchen, so we're gonna give it a try. Hey, hi you guys, I'm Amy and we're in my little kitchen. Anyway, I am so excited, but I'm also kind of sad because I tell you, I don't think fall is long enough with the holidays and filming and just other things that we all gotta do. There's just not enough time to create or do some of those recipes that involve pumpkin or maple or the soups and the stews and the richness and the casseroles, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna do my best to maybe get some recipes out there for you on my YouTube channel, Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, so that maybe you guys can give it a try too. And maybe it's a spin on something you haven't done. I'm not sure, but anyway, most of you have probably have your own version of pumpkin pie and things like that. And I know that's definitely a tradition in my house and what I've done for Thanksgiving and maybe even Christmas and stuff like that. But I think I mentioned this before. I don't think we should save pumpkin necessarily, all the things pumpkin, just for the fall time. I think pumpkin, you know, can be sprinkled in a little bit in the summer, in the spring, and the winter maybe, so whatever. So what I'm gonna do right now, instead of a pumpkin pie, I have made a pumpkin cheesecake before, and I really, really like it. And one of the things that I do a little bit differently on some of my crust when it comes to pumpkin pie or whatever it may be, is what kind of crust do I do? And so I am making like a low sugar graham crackers, but I've done shortbread cookies before, but this time I'm gonna add ginger snap cookies to them, to the crust. And I thought that would give, like, you know, just build up those flavors and those different layers within the cheesecake. Because now you've got this, like, you know, very nice, rich, and, you know, kind of little bit of hint of spice in your crust. And then you've got the richness of the cheesecake. And so anyway, I hope you will make this pumpkin cheesecake and let me know what you think. But in the meantime, let's get going. It's pumpkin cheesecake time. Okay, so what I've got going on here is a combination of 3 cups. If you want to do all graham cracker crumbs, feel free to add 3 cups of graham cracker crumbs. I'm doing probably about 2 cups, maybe 1.5, maybe 2 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and about a cup of ginger snap cookies. So we're just gonna grind up a little bit more of the graham crackers here. And then we'll kind of build up our crust here. Oops. There we go. And yes, this is kind of like my little mini food processor. I didn't get the big one out. And you just really want to grind it up really, pretty much like a fine crumb, because you don't want these big chunks. Okay, there we go. You know what? I could have just added a few more of the ginger snaps in here. I just think this will give kind of like a little spice, so you don't have to add, if you're just going to use just graham crackers, I would definitely add maybe just a hint of ginger spice and a little bit of cinnamon to your crust. I don't know, I just think it, you know, kind of builds up the of the layers, so you don't have a separate crust with a separate cheesecake. You don't need a lot of the spice in there, but just a little bit. I would say anywhere from, I don't know, maybe like a half a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a quarter to maybe half a teaspoon of ginger, but that's all you need. Okay, got that done. I love this little mini thing. See, I tell you, bigger isn't always better. It's just so easy when you just got like a little quick thing to do here. And I did do this in batches. So we're just gonna move this out of the way. Here, I'm just gonna stir this up a little bit. So I am not adding any spice to this because obviously I added the ginger snap. So I have maybe about a tablespoon of sugar. There's really 2 in here, but I'm thinking maybe 2 tablespoons of sugar. I think that's all you need, really. I don't think I melted enough butter. I only have about 4 tablespoons of melted butter, but I think I'm gonna have to go at least 6 or 8. Because the one thing you don't want, you want all the breadcrumbs, or all the graham cracker and ginger snap cookie crumbs to be wet. Because if you have it too dry, then obviously your crust is just gonna be crumble and it won't adhere. So yeah, all I had was about 4 tablespoons in here. So I am going to add 4 more. So where did I put that butter? Oh, here it is. We're just gonna put the rest of this in here. Oh yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna cut it up here so that it will melt quicker. Here we go. Okay, well, my new microwave, even though I have one up here, Chris and I are going to take this big hunkin' microwave out of here, and then we have a smaller one just over on like a little stand, like a kitchen stand or whatever over there, because I just want a real fan over the stovetop, and it'll just open that up a little bit more. And I think we're gonna put some decorative tile up there to kind of finish that wall space. But anyway, so I'm gonna go over here and melt my butter. Okay, so I melted 4 more tablespoons of butter, because 4 was not enough. So we have a total of 8. And if you think your your graham cracker crumbs, and ginger snap or whatever you're gonna use, it's still a little dry, just drizzle just a little bit more. But you don't want it too buttery because then it becomes too greasy. Well, obviously I didn't get enough big enough bowl. And then what we're gonna do is put this in our spring form pan and just kind of stick it in the oven at about 350 degrees just for about maybe 10 minutes, just so that it sets and just gets a little itty bitty brown. Yeah, I like it because it's not too greasy on my fingers, so that tells me that I did not add too much butter. Okay. I think my pan is on my stove. Okay, there we go. Let's put it in the springform pan. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there, and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. Okay, let me get this out of the way. We are gonna start putting our crust in our springform pan. And then if you want, just push it up the sides a little bit. I'm gonna take a little bit of this out. Tell you the truth, I added a little bit more than 3 cups. So once you think you've got it all evened out, just kind of press it down in there, compact it down a little bit. Just use your hand, or, I mean, if you want, you can use like a little glass. I like it to go up the sides a little bit. Just kind of even it out there. Okay. Okay, like I said, I have my oven preheated. There you go, if you can see that there. I have my oven heated at 350 degrees, so we'll put this in there for about maybe 10 minutes. You don't want to go too longer than that. You just want to kind of like set it before you put the pumpkin cheesecake mixture in there. Oops. I guess I should have checked my oven racks before I turned the oven on, because I gotta lower them. Okay, there we go. We're just gonna put it on there for about 10 minutes. Maybe just put that right here. All right. Okay, I think we can start using the mixer now. Let me see, what do I need to do? I think what I need to do is, I always forget. Oh yeah, like I should know this. But you know what, whenever I do these videos, I get kind of panicked, and I just really want to make sure I tell you guys the right thing. So, oh, I need my beater. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me go find the beater. Okay, I found my beater. Sorry about that, you guys. See, look at that. I tried so hard to have all my act together, and I didn't do that. So we're just gonna beat the cream cheese. Oh, another thing that I've read up on, which kind of makes sense, because just like cookies and other stuff you bake with, you kind of want your stuff, your ingredients at room temperature. So I had this cream cheese sitting out there for a little bit, and I'm using like that It starts with an N on your cream cheese. I think that's what I used. It's just got a slightly little less fat or whatever. But regular cream cheese is fine too. I just had this, and so I want to make sure I get all of it in there. So I have 4 8-ounce of cream cheese in there. So what we're gonna do here is just beat this, kind of break it up, soften it up. There we go. Looking good. I'm gonna get my little scraper. You'd think I'd never baked before. Because sometimes when you use a mixer, it kind of gets all to the sides and doesn't mix in with each other. Okay, I'm gonna mix in the sugars now. So what I have is about 1.5 cups of sugar and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. So I just poured that in there. 1.5 cups of regular granulated sugar and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I don't know, I just think this brown sugar, again, you're making cheesecake, just gives that little extra flavor and richness to it. So I just really want to make sure this is gonna mix up well. And it will. I just have to scrape it down. Before we add the eggs, and it's 4 eggs and 1 egg yolk. Okay, there we go. While that is going, I'll crack my yolk, my egg and yolk. I didn't crack it very good. It didn't leave me enough of an opening. Oh dear. Get all the egg white out there. Okay. There's my egg white. Okay, I think this is going. So we're just going to go ahead and add the egg yolk in there, along with 4 eggs. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do though? I don't trust myself with this small little opening to not get an eggshell in there. So I'm just gonna do one at a time. My little handy dandy measuring cup. So 4 eggs and 1 egg yolk. Because, you know, cheesecake is basically kind of like a thick custard. Oh dear. We got that going on. And I'm local brand, people, love it. Tillamook sour cream going in this cheesecake. And no, this is not a paid sponsorship. I just like local. Tillamook is here in my home state. It's great. It's creamy, it's thick, it's good tasting. Okay. Since we got egg in here already, I am going to use half a cup. Let me see, did I do that right? I want to tell you the right thing. Yes, half a cup. Okay, there we go, half a cup. We're just gonna kind of scoop that in there. Oops. Oh dear. With the sugar and everything, this will give it a little bit of flavor and a little tartness and richness to it. Okay, so we've got that. I'm gonna stop this for a minute and just make sure I have the sides. Just so everything is mixing up okay. And not getting stuck anywhere. Stuck on the bottom, on the sides. See, I make sure my spatula, that's what it is. Oh my goodness, a mixer scraper. Well, you guys know I don't have cue cards, that's for sure. Oh, guess what that is for? And see, it's like a nice golden brown. So we're just gonna set this right over here. Let it cool for a minute. I'm gonna add in about a teaspoon of vanilla. We still gotta add in the pumpkin. I'm gonna add in a little bit of cornstarch, or you could add in a flour. I would add in about, maybe about 2 tablespoons of flour or a tablespoon and a half of cornstarch. And obviously your egg is the binder, but this will help, thicken it up as well. Let's get our pumpkin in there. Okay. I think another thing you could do too is just put a thin layer of this combination on the bottom of the crust and then add in your pumpkin to the remainder, and then you might have a little layer. I haven't tried that before, but I'm not going to do it this time because I'm not prepared. Okay. Boy, I'm going to lift this up. One of the things, I know there's a lot of brands of pumpkin puree, and obviously we know the main one, but I really like this Farmer's Market. It's organic pumpkin puree. I don't know, I just love the taste. I love the consistency of it. And it just makes a light, fluffy anything. This is what I make my, I think I've only done it one time. Used the sugar pumpkin and cut that open, get the seeds out, baked it, and then pulled away the pulp and made my own pumpkin puree. But it's been a while. Obviously, this is more convenient. But I like this brand. I think this is called, yeah, Farmer's Market. Oh, duh. No wonder I like it. I don't know, I have this at my grocery store. You may not have it where you're at. So any good pumpkin puree that you like, will work in this. Okay. And then we are going to add in some of our spices. We're gonna add in a little bit of nutmeg. Well, maybe half a teaspoon. If you don't like nutmeg, about a quarter. Let's say a quarter, because nutmeg can be kind of strong. It's a nice herb. And definitely about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I'm just gonna add maybe about a quarter teaspoon of allspice. I wanted allspice other than cloves. I don't think allspice is as strong, but maybe that's just me. Okay, that's enough. Okay, there we go. Did I get everything? Usually I miss an ingredient, don't I? Oh man, you guys, I smell it. It smells so good. I'm just gonna lift this up one more time because we're just gonna let it go for a minute. And we'll just do it till it's fully combined. And then we'll pour it in our crust. All right. So just give that a whirl for another moment. I'm gonna clean up this mess and then we'll pour it in our pie crust or our cheesecake crust. What a mess. Oh, there's the crust. Okay, I think I'm gonna take you guys on over to here so I can, whoa, whoops. So just see it being poured in. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna pour in our pumpkin cheesecake batter into our crust. There we go. Oh man, look at that nice rich color. I'm gonna scrape it and not just pour it because there's a lot that stick onto the side. Okay, the big debate here, because you do need it in order to really help prevent cracks. You know, that crack that'll go right in the middle of the cheesecake. I'm debating whether to put this in a water bath, or I might try what I think other people have done, and that is just to put like a sheet pan of water on the rack below so that you still create this steam and this heat from it. So I'm gonna try that instead of wrapping this in foil and then putting it in there. So let's see how that works. So you still have that steam effect without going through all the mess and worrying if water's gonna seep into your cheesecake. So I'm hoping that'll work. Okay, I think it does. I think it'll work. Let me take you on over there. So we've got about 60, I'm gonna say 65 to 75. So I think that'll work. So let's get this closed so we don't let all the heat out. So we have about 65 to 75 minutes for the cheesecake to bake, and I turned down the heat to 325 degrees. So just let it bake, relax. And I always think it's best to wait probably about 4 hours after you have baked the cheesecake before you take that luscious little bite, that delicious bite, first bite from it. I think it's also best to let it cool after you take it out of the oven. Let it cool for at least a couple hours before you stick it in the refrigerator. And then, because it needs to set, it needs to cool down. And I think it's best when it is a little bit, I don't want to say cold, but refrigerated. So anyway, we'll see what happens after that. But you may not see me until the next day when I bring out the cheesecake, and we'll decide on what are some of the ideas on how to decorate it. I usually like it just plain, or I will do little dollops of whipped cream around the edge. I usually don't put nuts on it because so many people don't like nuts, or they don't like that crunch within. On top of the cheesecake, that is another idea that I forgot to do, was either grind up walnuts or pecans and incorporate that in your crust too, because that gives a nice little crunch. But anyway, 65 minutes, the cheesecake is in the oven. We're gonna see deliciousness in about that time. So Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, I'll be back. Well, hi everyone. I'm Amy and I'm back in my little kitchen, but I wanted to show you the results of my pumpkin cheesecake. So it is in the morning time. So this is gonna be Chris and I's little morning treat. Instead of a donut or pumpkin donut, pumpkin muffin, or something like that, we're gonna have a piece of the cheesecake. So this is pumpkin cheesecake. I'm really kind of bummed because when I took this out of the oven, there was no crack in it. See? There was none whatsoever. But I think maybe the weight of it, because when I can't do it now, but when you just squeeze it a little bit, it might have been because I took a toothpick or the edge of a knife and stuck it in here just to see if it was even remotely done. So anyway, but if you don't think you definitely don't want your pumpkin cheesecake jiggly, meaning it's still like really wet in the middle of it. So you want the pumpkin cheesecake to bake a little bit longer, but it will set as well. So this took me probably about 75 minutes, depending on your oven, at 325 degrees. If it was at 350, it might have only taken like maybe 60 minutes. So vary the temperatures a little bit, but 325 does work. It just takes a little bit longer. And it gives the custard time to kind of really, solidify, not be runny or whatever. And so anyway, it looks delicious. It looks great. I probably won't have time to do the fancy decorations, but I do have fresh whipped cream all ready to go. And probably what I would do is put it in a pastry bag if I was serving a lot of people, and doing little dollops around the edge of the pumpkin cheesecake. I think it looks nice if you do like candy orientated crunched up pecans, but a lot of people may not like nuts on their pumpkin cheesecake, so I would probably just leave that to the side. But anyway, because it's just Chris and I, and I'm not sure who else I'm gonna give half this cheesecake to, I'm just gonna have whipped cream on the side. So let's cut into this lusciousness and see how it tastes. Okay, hi babe.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was telling them that I made this pumpkin cheesecake last night, and so this is gonna be our little treat in the morning. I am so bummed because there's this big crack.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why, because I probably do know why. I took it out of the oven, it looked fantastic. I mean, just a smooth top and everything. Eventually, it might have been because I poked a knife in there, like a really skinny knife to test it. And so it might eventually crack. But anyway, I did the whole hot water bath. I just didn't sit it in there. But anyway, this is pumpkin cheesecake in my little kitchen, so we're going to give it a try.
Yeah. Well, just always fill it with whipped cream or just cut right there.
I know, isn't that the truth? So that's what we're going to do. The first piece is always the hardest. looks luscious.
I had to wait until this morning to try this. I'm looking forward to it.
I know, you were wanting it last night.
I was.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Like I said, the first piece is always the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just do another one. And you shouldn't leave, because this is basically a custard, don't leave it outside on the counter. Or, you know, left at room temperature. I mean, definitely for a couple hours, but not overnight or anything. Definitely put it back in the refrigerator to have it keep for a few days. Okay, I'm gonna taste it without the whipped cream because I wanna, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, do. Oh yeah, see, I love it.
Oh yeah.
It's not like really heavy dense. It's got a lightness about it too, right?
No, it's very creamy, but I mean, definitely tastes done. But it's very creamy. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I have the approval from Chris, so I guess I did a good job.
I will be eating more of this.
Me too. So you can find this recipe over on my YouTube channel at Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. I would so appreciate if you subscribe to it. So this is pumpkin cheesecake, so enjoy the fall harvest and look for more recipes. Okay, hi everyone. We are in my little kitchen. Lisa and I are in my little kitchen and we're already scrambling. I will be cooking with a few people from the East Coast and we are going to do our attempt at making my version of the New England clam chowder. One thing both Chris and I agree on is that we kind of like stuff in our soup. But I'm not sure if, you know, that is really the traditional East Coast Boston clam chowder or New England clam chowder. Because what I've read online, there is a huge debate between Manhattan and Boston clam chowder or New England clam chowder. So we are definitely making the white creamy version. I love Manhattan as well. Just depends on what I feel like.
You start your camera on your phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, good.
So Lisa's over there finishing up a few things and I think we both needed a little glass of wine. So anyway, let's get going and we're gonna be making New England clam chowder. I still wanna say Boston.
Let's do this. I'd like to welcome Emily and, the names went off. How did they?
Doesn't matter. Who's Emily?
Left top corner with her hair up.
Okay.
Hi, Em.
Yeah, hi Emily. Where
Hello.
are you? Yeah, where are you?
Where am I?
Yeah, like what state?
I am in Illinois.
Oh wow, okay. Woohoo, Midwest.
Yeah. Oh
Love it.
yeah, love it. We were just in Michigan actually this weekend, so
Where at?
Kalamazoo for our alumni weekend at Western Michigan University.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Now, so bold. How old are you?
I am 31.
Man, you know, being out of state and so far away, I wish I went to at least my high school, you know, class reunion. And I never did. And, you know, now all these crazy people see me on television, you know, it's like, whoa, they know my whole life, but I know nothing about my class. So anyway, well, I hope you had a good time. Thanks for joining us. Okay, who did we do? Who's Megan? Where's the
Right here.
people?
Emily,
Oh.
Stephanie, and Alicia.
You think I have glasses? I could actually read. Okay, Stephanie.
Hey
Who's
there. That's
All
me.
right. Yeah, good to meet you, Stephanie.
Good to meet you. Emily's actually my sister. So we're both here together. But I'm based in Philadelphia.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do?
I work at Kelly Education. I work with our school district here, getting our substitute teachers filled in our schools throughout the city.
Okay, you know what? That is something I would love to do as I try and figure out what I'm going to do for the 7
You
years.
should.
And hopefully retire when I'm in my mid-60s or something. But, well, and I know every state's different, but in the state of Oregon, they're, how should I say, loosening up the requirements
Yes.
because of the shortage. And I figured, well, I've got a Bachelor of Science degree, so maybe that'll help get me in, but it's not in education, it's in business. But I did teach preschool for 4
Yeah.
years, 5 years, but I love kids in the school. So that's what I was
Me too.
thinking about doing.
You should totally do it.
Substitute teacher, all that. So big kudos for you, because I hear a lot of school districts, for some
It's a
reason,
tough job.
with that.
Mhm.
Yes, it's a huge, huge shortage, like you mentioned right now. So it is not easy to get folks into classrooms. So if you want to do that, you absolutely should. We absolutely need folks who love kids in classrooms.
Hopefully my state won't be too difficult.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go on to Alicia. How are you?
Hello, good morning, or afternoon,
Good
actually, right? Afternoon.
Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. Well, I had a production call with my TV people today. I had to do a, COVID test because that's what's required of us, to film and everything. And as always, I'm like, if I ever was on time, if I ever felt like I had my act together, I don't think people would know how to react around me, because I am consistent on scrambling, being late, and everything else. But Alicia, where are you?
I am in Vancouver, Washington.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah,
Woo.
just above you. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. In fact, my Tori posted it on her Instagram, but they have moved to Washington. Yeah, it takes about an hour to get there from here.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I don't know where my head was off at. I thought, yeah, sometimes I think it is off. Since we were doing New England clam chowder, I thought we were having people from the East Coast.
We were, but I think we had
Oh,
some
because we
change.
changed the day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Good.
Okay, my next question for you all, because have you made this, or are you going to watch me make it?
I have not made it, so I'm gonna watch.
Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Alicia?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch. I definitely want to learn to do more in the kitchen and get some more recipes and ideas. And I love the things that you make. So I'm here to just watch and take notes. And
All right, good.
Yeah.
Emily, have you made this before?
I have not. I'll be watching as well, as I'm just leaving my job. So
That's what I thought. Are you in the school district or somewhere else?
yeah, I teach at a high school.
Okay, that's what I
Oh,
thought. That's
fun.
what I thought. Man, we got a bunch
Yep.
of teachers. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I have made New England clam chowder soup before. I thought I'd give making this soup with real clams before. Hang on here.
Fresh clams. Right?
Yeah, fresh clams. But I'll tell you, I don't know if you could see that very well, but getting that little piece of clam out of there, and like, what is the best part of the clam? It's kind of like, ew. And I'm thinking, okay, there's this one little piece here. Here, I'm going to show you guys. See, here's this little clam. And there's this little white thing. I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
It attaches.
But do you cut it off?
Yeah, just
So by the time you cut that off, and this little piece that's like the neck, is that what you eat too? I don't know. So my attempt at using real clams, I think, for me, has not been a huge success.
so we have these as an option.
So as a plan B, you have to shuck a lot of clams to get this little itty bitty thing. So
We're doing. a
we're going
combination.
to kind of use the clams of what I have shucked. Is that the bowl? No, that's pancetta. Where's the bowl? How piddly. This is all we have. And we need a whole lot more clams in our soup. So I'm just gonna plop that in here. Ooh, yeah, see, ooh. Do we have
Yes,
this?
all of
Ooh.
them have that.
Oh, I know, but I cut it off. Like, look at
It's
that.
part of the clam. When you
Is
eat
it
the
really?
clams, steamer clams, you eat that. Yes.
Really? I don't know. It looks like,
I think this is more of a
Gross.
disaster day than.
no, but you know what? The
You eat
thing,
that.
the reason I'm doing this is because sometimes people don't like to cook because they don't know how.
See, that's this little piece.
And
of the
then
clam.
other times, in general, I know how to do a lot of stuff because I've done it since I've been like 14 years old. But as the years have gone on, I've learned a lot more. Oh, that's how I did it? Oh, that's not the way you should do it. And for the life of me, I can't come up with an example right now. But yeah, this stuff's like, it's like hard.
It's where it attaches. See, like here's the white piece here.
Yeah,
That's where it attaches.
but I don't want that.
Okay, I'll cut those while you keep
Yeah, can
going.
you do that, please?
Yes.
Because I just don't like it. So anyway, and what I don't like, I use what I like or familiar with, and these look a little better. Well, we're gonna save the juice. You know what? I'm gonna get another container. Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there, and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video. I did buy clam juice. I've never used clam juice in my Boston clam chowder or New England clam chowder. But when I read up on a lot of recipes, and that's usually what I do, I read up on a lot of recipes because it's like, I know how to make it, but how are other people making it? Maybe there's something I haven't thought about, or I take little bits of this, little bits of that. And I'm like, okay, that'll enhance what I already know in a recipe. So because I bought this clam juice, but look at how much juice, if you can see it, probably not because I don't want to spill it. Anyway, this is a lot of clam juice in here.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is drain this.
You want to measure it so we know how much?
Well, no, I'll do that before I pour it in.
Okay.
Because by the time you get rid of all the juice, look at how much clams you have. Hardly any. And I only bought 4 cans. I probably have 6 cans of clams. Because when you have, I'm a big fan of when you want, in soups, depending on the soup, I want stuff in my soup. I don't want to feel like that's all I'm eating in broth, except for chicken noodle, because let's be real, the noodles aren't the key with chicken in it and stuff like that. The noodles and the broth, it's all feel good type of stuff. Okay. So anyway, we are going to finish opening up this. I am basically going off of the recipe that I sent to you, but we're going to send you a revised one because I'm not sure why I had 6 carrots. No, 4 at the most. You'll want about 2 cups. And celery. Celery was good. The small onion was good. 1 leek. If you guys don't know what a leek is, it looks like a great big huge green onion. If you have a really huge leek, I don't know, maybe you want to only use half of it, but I used one about this size, and that's what's in our soup. So where are we at in all this? Okay, melt the butter and add the flour. Okay, what I've done already, or I should say Lisa and I, because she helped me, is that you can use bacon if you want. I love pancetta. It's a little thinner. You can crisp it up a little better. I'm gonna save a little bit and just sprinkle it in on top of the soup, but I'll use the majority of it within the soup. And that is 2 packages. One package is 3 ounces, so 2 3-ounce packages of pancetta. Because
Or 4 slices of bacon.
yeah, or about 4 or 5 slices of bacon. I rush through making this recipe. I tell you, half the time when I'm making stuff, I just not wing it. Wing it doesn't sound like I know what I'm doing, but I do. But I wing it, and then I'm like, well, how much was that? Like, how much did an actual 1 league equal out to? 5 cups, 1 cup, 3 cup? I'm like, crumb. I should have, done that. So in some of the directions, I have to give you how many minutes you actually cook the stuff. So anyway, so we got the pancetta done.
I'm gonna open the rest of the cans of.
We have sauteed the carrots and the onions and the leeks because you want to soften them up before you just put them in the soup, because I don't like raw tasting vegetables. And you just cook them till they're just tender and they'll finish cooking in the soup. In a separate pan, we are going to make a roux. And we're going to start with some butter. Do you guys all know how to make a roux? Roux is, thickening. Okay, good. At least someone does it. If you've got any ideas, Stephanie, pipe in, or Emily, pipe in. But we're going to take a half a cup. We're going to have a lot of, this is Boston clam chowder. Basically a cream soup. So you got to make a lot of cream. A roux is basically a thickening agent. So you use butter and flour, and usually it's in equal parts. So if I'm using a half a stick of butter, I'm going to use a half a cup of flour. And I'll probably just season it a little bit with salt and pepper. So we're going to get that going.
What kind of butter do you like using?
You know what? You guys may have a brand of butter out there. I'm not sure if you have this brand, but I know it's sold nationally. But I'm a big fan of supporting local. So this is Tillamook butter. It's our local dairy, maybe about an hour and a half from where I live on the coast. And it's great. I use their cheese, their butter, their sour cream, all of that stuff. So whatever butter you want to use, but Tillamook is kind of my fave. So we're just going to slice this up. But I'm hoping to get this soup done in time so y'all aren't hanging out here doing nothing. And we're just gonna do that butter a little bit. Oh, the other thing too, which I have a tendency to do because I'm multitasking, is I leave my butter on too long and it turns brown. So you don't want brown butter. You just want the butter to melt. So be sure to do that. Okay, I got my little whisk here. Normally I would just do this, but since I'm with you guys, I'm going to actually read my recipe. Okay, melt the butter, add the flour. We got to wait for the butter, we'll add the flour. And you want to, don't cook it on too high. Sometimes when I'm in too much of a rush, I realize that I did not cook the flour well enough, because you don't want that raw tasting flour. You kind of want this deep, rich, rustic flour. And obviously you don't want it to brown, but you at least want to get some of that flour taste out. So really mix it in with the butter, cook it on maybe medium low, just to get, it all combined. Oh yeah, we're going to add 1 cup of that broth. Oh, I don't even think I needed this because the juice from the clams,
That's the best.
is going to be perfect. Okay. Oh, we did have a glass of wine because for some reason I'm nervous.
If you guys want, take a glass and have a glass of wine with us.
Well, I think they're all at work.
Oh, yeah.
I
Probably
need
not.
some of this. You need some of this? Oh, mine's too warm.
Okay.
So while my butter is melting. Oh yeah, it's starting to-
Almost browned it.
yeah, it's,
All the way down.
do you guys have any questions for me? I thought we had questions. I mean, like, it could be about the show. It could be about my life, my family, life in general. How are you all surviving this whole COVID thing?
It's crazy. I mean, I live right up the way from you, so you know how it is. And
Oh, yeah.
Portland, so I work at the Air National Guard. So just happened to have today off because we just worked this past weekend. So,
Okay, got it.
so as you've heard and probably on the news, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We're augmenting the hospitals and we were helping with fire support and amongst all the
Now,
COVID
are you actually in the National Guard? Like,
active. Yeah.
National Guard is kind of like Army, right?
So I'm in the Air National Guard, so I'm technically Air Force. So I spent 16 years active duty Air Force.
Really?
Around.
Well,
then,
kudos. Thank you for that.
yeah. And then I wanted to provide stability for my boys, so I joined an active Air National Guard position in Portland, and I grew up here. So it's funny you say Tillamook because I thought they had Tillamook everywhere because I grew up here. So I don't know the difference.
They do. I'm not
We
sure.
do
but-
have it in the Midwest.
Yeah, we
Oh.
have it out east too.
And
Yeah.
I've seen you mix- support my local. Oops.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Support my local. Tillamook. Well, that's great. Well, yeah, and the one thing I've known, Stephanie, Stephanie, Ashley, and me. The one thing, Ashley, that I've got, I think we all realize that each state is different on how they're handling this whole COVID, what's required. I mean, now the big thing is, we're not getting into the whole political thing because I'm sure we all have different thoughts on it. But, you may be required to get a vaccine in order to keep your job, which frankly, I think it's crazy, but people gotta feel like they gotta do what they gotta do. But anyway, okay, so you're really involved in it,
Yeah.
helping other people. And then Stephanie, you're in the educational. So how's it going for you?
Yeah, so in Philly, our school district board of education voted for a vaccine mandate actually this past August. So it has been very challenging to make sure all of our subs have vaccines. If they don't, they have to test twice a week actually, which is very cumbersome. Philadelphia was hit, we were hit pretty hard. The East Coast cities initially were hit really hard before there were vaccines. But we're doing better. It's stabling out a little bit, so that's good.
Wow, yeah, that's tough. Because I know Michigan was hit hard a little bit too. Emily, how about you? You're in the educational system. How are you handling this whole COVID thing?
Yep. So similar to Philadelphia, we do have a mandate that teachers have to be vaccinated or they can get tested weekly. So it's been interesting to say the least. Our kids, we have all mask policy at school and the kids are really good about it because they don't really know any different from the last few years. So it's just a normal school year. So the kids are there all day. We're there 5 days a week. So it's just kind of back to normal with masks by us.
That's great. Because I was thinking, because you're in the high school, like, are some of the kids saying, like, what in the world?
They were in the beginning, but like I said, most of them were used to it or had a hybrid kind of model. The school districts that feed us, so they were still in person last year even. So they're just kind of used to all of the things that have been going on. And luckily we haven't had to do any closing of schools or anything. So it's been good.
That's good. That's good. That's good. See, it seems like we're all kind of, whatever our thoughts and opinions may be on it, we're all doing what we have to do, or whether we disagree or not, it's what we need to do. So no, good. I'm glad y'all are doing well. Let me ask you another question. Alicia, right? Alicia?
Correct. Yep, Alicia.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to cook? What do you like to eat?
Oh gosh. Trying to think. I had a feeling you were gonna ask me that. And I actually just made a what I call like a Mexican quinoa. So just
Mexican quinoa. That sounds good. Oh, like quinoa? Mexican quinoa?
Yeah.
How do you put black beans in it? What's some of the stuff in it?
I'm not a big corn fan, but black beans, fire rested tomatoes, green chilies. I just cooked it.
Why did you use quinoa over rice?
It's a different texture. I don't know, but I guess it would make like a Mexican rice if I just put rice.
No, I love quinoa. It's higher, it's a good grain, it's higher in protein, and yeah, I love that.
Okay, so she's making the roux.
Yeah, I'm making the roux. I added my flour in it. And it's starting to definitely thicken up. Even though I love these pans, these Le Creuset, they are heavy. My little arms and wrists, man.
Okay, what do you want?
So anyway, it looks like this. I think it's cooked long enough. It's had a chance to thicken. So we're gonna add in.
That's the butter and flour, right?
Yeah. And so we're gonna add in, I wanna get this right for you guys. 1 cup of the juice broth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, from the potatoes. What?
Use the Clam.
Okay, I didn't do that yet. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, we gotta add the potatoes and stuff. Okay, hang on, people. Add the potatoes and the clam juice. Okay, we're gonna add 2 of these to the vegetables.
Don't we
Lisa,
want this clam?
I'm
juice?
gonna use that in the roux.
Oh,
So add that to the vegetables, add that one,
how much?
the whole thing.
Okay.
This is 8 ounces. So I'm adding 2 of them to the pot of the vegetables. Like I said, I'm gonna redo this recipe because I don't like some of the amounts I did. And you know what, for the sake of time, time. For the sake of time, because we forgot to mince up the garlic cloves.
Oh.
I always recommend use fresh garlic when you can, mince it up, because I think it just adds so much more flavor. We're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of garlic powder, but definitely use the cloves of garlic. So as she's doing the veggies with the clam juice, once that starts to come to a boil or a simmer, we're gonna add in the potatoes. Do you think 2's enough?
Is that what it was on the?
No, we need just a little more. We are gonna add in, you think this? All right, add in the potatoes right now. We're gonna go ahead and add in the potatoes. So sorry, this is not a professional cooking show. We're just Amy and my little kitchen. So Stephanie, let me go to you. What is one of your favorite meals you like to cook or have or something like that?
Yeah, I love spaghetti and meatballs. So we make the meatballs, we sear them first and then put them in the oven, which just like makes them perfect. And we like to add some cheese and parsley and just like good fresh. I just love big meatballs and spaghetti and all that good stuff. So
Meatballs?
oh yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we sear them, we bake them.
I've got an Italian friend here. What do you put in your meatballs?
So we do the meat, we do Parmesan, egg, a little bit of almond flour because I actually have celiac, so I have to eat gluten-free. And then fresh parsley, we sear them in the iron pan and then we put them in the oven just so that they become like juicy and not dried out. But it's delicious. Yeah.
That sounds just about like our family recipe, but we mix beef and pork. And
Oh
so
yeah, that's good.
really good. And I just sear them in some olive oil and then we throw them in the pot of sauce. We
And
don't
you
have-
have-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they finish cooking in the sauce. So then it just like,
Yeah.
everybody does it a little different.
Well, I really like both versions of that because if you, just because if you've made other meatballs for other dishes before, I have learned over the years, you know, because I used to always pan sear them. And you're right, they would have a tendency to dry out because you've seared the outside, but it takes a little longer to cook inside, but the outside is like already done. But
Right.
baking them
Yeah.
gives them a chance to, you know, cook inside without drying out the outside too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you make your
Yeah, they're
own
good.
sauce or what's your favorite jar sauce?
I rotate jar sauce. I haven't made my own sauce in a really long time. My grandma used to, Emily knows. It was delicious, but I haven't made it in a long time. We rotate.
A product. What's
I
your
like
favorite?
it's called Socceroonie. Emily's gonna laugh because that's what our mom always gets. I forget if it's Newman's Own, but it's Socceroonie sauce and it just has a really good flavor to it. So that's kind of our go-to.
Well, no, she
Yeah.
used to. She doesn't. Oh, do you do Newman's?
I don't know if Socceroonie is Newman's. Do you know? I don't think it is. It's the
think
type of sauce is called Socceroonie. Maybe it is Newman's. It's delicious. Delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to read what's in that. That's interesting. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
excellent. Emily, what is your favorite dish that you like to cook or have or?
I make homemade pizza a lot, but that's not really that complicated. But I make a pretty mean meatloaf as well.
Okay, what do you do in your meatloaf?
You can use turkey or beef, so I use turkey usually. Almond flour, I've got onions, spinach, I put kale in there, red pepper, green pepper, onion, pretty much any type of veggie. And then I actually use Trader Joe's like mustard barbecue sauce to put on top instead of ketchup, and it's really, really good. And I'll usually make it with like cauliflower mashed potatoes as well. I don't actually eat that healthy. That sounds super healthy. I'm not that healthy of a person, but it sounds healthy.
Does the dough come from Trader Joe's as well, or?
For the pizza dough, I make my own.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty basic.
I want to know what is the special trick, because I tell you, I have tried with yeast and everything. Either my house isn't hot enough or whatever, but it doesn't seem to rise. Like they say, oh, it doubles. I'm like, well, this doesn't look like it doubled.
I use the quick rise, like instant yeast, and that seems to do the trick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. No, you know what? I read up on something that they were, and I can't remember what they were comparing it to, but pizza is healthy, meaning it's not as high calorie.
It depends on what you put on it.
Well, yeah, if it's just
Yeah.
cheese or something like that, okay, it might be a little calories. But if you got your veggies in there and a little bit of cheese, because that's calcium and protein in that,
Yeah,
and
and do some veggies for sure.
yeah, but like I said, I can't remember what they were comparing it to, but they said, believe it or not, pizza isn't so bad. But I think it's even better when you make it your own. Well, I'm gonna have to try that Mexican thing. I love spaghetti and meatballs because my youngest son, Zachary, always wanted that. And I'm gonna keep perfecting making pizza. I've baked with my daughter before, Molly. She lives up in Spokane, so I don't see her a lot. But she's kind of like my baker. And it just comes out when she does it. I'm like, when I do it, it's like, what in the world? When I got my little thermometer, making sure that yeast and water is to the right thing, or I'm like, well, maybe I don't wait long enough to have it froth, like it's active or whatever like that. So that is good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it looks like we have some other questions from Alicia. What is your favorite part of living in the Pacific Northwest?
Okay. Oops. Hang on, sorry. We're gonna put a lid on these potatoes so they cook a little quicker.
What's your favorite part of living in the Pacific
Well, I'll
Northwest?
tell you, Illinois, Pennsylvania, you're in my Midwest. I'll always love you. Love my home state of Michigan. And I say that all the time. But the one thing I love about the Pacific Northwest is because it's a softer transition from the different seasons, but we still have the seasons here. I love fall. Summers are nice, spring. Yeah, we get a lot of rain and stuff like that. So to me, it's a little colder, chillier than sometimes when you get all the snow, because it's just that wet and damp and 38 degrees, 40 degrees, Obviously the mountains have snow and things like that, but I still think there's lots to do here. There's lots of outdoor stuff to do here. and even in the state of Oregon, I have so much to explore here yet. But I've lived here, for almost 31 years. And though a wonderful opportunity to, be on television and do, this crazy reality show about our family and stuff. And now as I look back over the 16 years that we've been doing this, season 22 or whatever it may be.
Crazy.
It did take up a lot of time where we didn't get a chance as a family to kind of do those exploring and, plan that 2-week vacation or something, because, this took up a lot of time, and it is about our life. And we had the opportunity to do wonderful vacations through the show and in the early years and stuff like that. But now that I've remarried in my empty nester years,
Woo-hoo.
being a grandmother, I'm looking forward to exploring a lot more of the Northwest, because I'd move back to Michigan in a minute. I'd probably have to relearn on how to drive in snow, because I don't think I'd be able to do that great in it anymore. But I think all my kids will be somewhere in the Northwest, so here stay. But I love it that it has the 4 seasons, and there's a lot of natural things to do.
Molly could teach you how to drive in the snow.
Okay.
But she lives in Spokane. They get tons of snow. I lived there as well for 6 years.
Yeah, they really do. But like in Michigan, and I don't know about Pennsylvania and Illinois if you guys do this, but from my memory, we use salt, to de-ice and, make that go away. I don't really know of people using chains in Michigan or even studded tires. And it might be because it's a little more flat that you don't need that. But here it's like putting chains on tires. I mean, how do you do that? Like, what do you do?
Plus that ruins the
What does?
the chains and the studded.
But that's what you used here, though.
Right.
Where back there you
They
don't.
don't.
But what ruins the roads out like Pennsylvania and Illinois is the freezing and the unfreezing of the roads,
Yeah.
where that can wear that out too. But yeah, thank you for that. Okay,
Yeah.
another question.
How did Little People Big World
Who is that
start?
from?
That's also from Alicia.
Okay, so how did Little People Big World start? Well, when we started doing the show, what was that one show, Big World? I think Big World or some show way
Before
back.
yours.
Yeah, or at pretty much the same time. It was on like a year or two before us or whatever. The Osbournes, I'm not sure. They may have come on right when we came on too. The whole thing is reality shows was a new genre. It was a new thing coming onto the whole entertainment television and stuff like that scene. So producers, I think, really reached out to other people that they thought would be, I don't know, good on TV, I suppose. But back in the day, we did some local TV shows like Good Morning America, Bosley.
Oh, Jim Bosley.
Yeah, Jim Bosley and Mary Sterry.
Yeah, those were local channels.
Yeah, local channel. So we were on that. We were, believe it or not, but I would never be probably on the show again, but Maury Povich, we were on the Maury Povich show back in the day.
Oprah, you were on Oprah.
That came through the show though.
Oh,
so I'm talking about things prior.
Oh.
And we were in the New York Times. I was in a local author did a book on letters to our daughter. So anyway, the whole point being is that producers saw us talking to the public on different quote, television shows or whatever. And so that gave them the idea that they're probably, they know how to talk into the camera and, stuff like that. So anyway, a producer contacted us. We did a pilot, a major network turned that down. And so we had to wait a certain amount of time to do another pilot. And we were that first pilot, we were doing it like with 3 other families. It was like, how are these different, unconventional from the normal average sized families? How do they do live? And so a major network turned that down. And then he still wanted to do our family. So we did another pilot, and that's when TLC picked it up. Originally, the show was Little People, Big Dreams. And then it was changed, I think, after the first season, to Little People, Big World. And then we've been doing it ever since. And so now a lot of people ask us, well, why aren't the rest of your kids involved? And, stuff like that. And, family dynamics change. My kids, my twin boys are 31 years old. They're
Can't
married.
believe that.
I know, they're married, they've got kids. And so some of my kids, they all happen to be average size, but they just felt like they needed to go on and do something else besides being kind of maybe locked in to the television show and not really being able to, stretch their wings and see if they could, fly out there. So as a mom, I'm like, go for it. I mean, this is your decision. You got to make choices that impact you and stuff. Just because we've been doing this, as a family. I mean, are we sad that they're not part of it? Well, absolutely. But I'm very proud of all of my kids and, the unconventional growing up life that they've had. And they're doing great. They're all doing great.
Yeah, very good. So Stephanie and Emily,
It's good 3 years.
what is your go-to breakfast? And then we're gonna have to check the potatoes in
Oh,
a few
yeah.
minutes.
Okay.
We still have a little.
Yep.
bit. What's your go-to breakfast?
Oh, my go-to. I used to eat breakfast a lot. I don't know why I don't. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I don't have that locked in 9 to 5 job. But tell you the truth, my go-to breakfast would be either a poached egg or like one egg that is scrambled and a piece of whole wheat or one of your favorite toast, one that's toast to go with the egg. And instead of a donut or something like that, I love homemade jam. I used to make jam. So that other piece of toast would be, a little butter and little jam. That's really my go-to. But I would say my more luxury breakfast would be French toast, pancakes, waffles.
But you also make a mean frittata.
Oh yeah, and if I'm
Very
definitely serving for my family or a big group of people, I usually make a frittata over a strata. Now, what's the difference between the two? One has bread, one doesn't. But I like them because, like a pizza, you can add the vegetables to it. You can do whatever you want. You just have to make sure that the egg doesn't get too watered down or adheres to it. The one thing I've learned over time on doing like scrambled eggs or frittata or anything is that if you put spinach in it, I lightly dust it with flour. I don't know if you guys do that, because that way the egg has something to adhere to instead of just sliding off of the spinach. So when you have like, I don't know, a slippery vegetable or something like that, or a smooth one, or a wet one, I usually just dust it with flour because you don't want it to be too floury to cake it. But I definitely do that with spinach. So the egg has
That's
something
a good
to
idea.
adhere to. So the spinach is throughout the thing and it's baked within the egg.
And you could use
stuff.
different flours based on your
Yeah, yeah.
dietary needs. So yeah.
I don't know if there's a different way to cook with different types of flour. In fact, this recipe that I'll go on Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen on my YouTube channel is a apple pear cranberry tart. Well, I thought I'd use half all-purpose flour and this other flour that I got from our local farmer's market, but it hasn't been fully processed. It's still a good flour. It's more hearty, grainy, or whatever it is. But I have to learn how to cook with that because my crust turned out to be a flop, really. Because when I rolled it out, because I did what I typically do with just all-purpose flour. So I rolled it out and everything, but it was like drier. It was like crumbly. And I couldn't fold it over because it would crack. And I thought, okay, I'm either doing something wrong here or I just have to bake with this flour and learn something more.
That's a good idea.
So I had to redo it. I said it on my my video that I did. It's like, well, sometimes you try things and you get rid of it and you go back to what you
Start
know.
over.
Yeah. So
Well,
anyway.
let's check the roux.
Oh,
and
yes.
potato. I have to remember.
We put the clam juice within the the sauteed vegetables and we added the potatoes. So we're gonna see if the potatoes are soft enough to really get this, you know, this whole dish going here. Well, here, let me get a fork. Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
To me, I use red potatoes for this. Some people may use rustic potatoes, which is fine. I think with rustic potatoes, if you cook them too long, especially in the soup, they may have a tendency to break down and become too mushy and part of, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, oh, we need the thyme and the parsley.
I'll get that.
I'll do the thyme, you can do the parsley. How about that?
Sounds good.
I just tasted my potato and I think I have to add a little more salt. But that's the one thing I think when you do soup, because I used the clam juice. And so definitely you start off with some salt when you saute your vegetables, unless you want your onions to be browned, you know, caramelized and stuff like that. Because when you do salt, it draws out the water from that vegetable and you're kind of, I don't know, steaming it, or, you know, it's in too much liquid. So usually I just do unsalted butter, just a little bit of butter or olive oil. But anyway, for this, I did add a little bit of salt because I don't need to caramelize the onions.
And we didn't know how much salt was in the clam juice.
Well, yeah, that's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. So
it's because-
season after you.
Yeah, you taste and season as you go along. But I'm using fresh thyme here. And so I think when you use dry, I think 1 teaspoon, maybe a little more may work. Depends on, you know, how seasoned you want it. Oh, I don't know.
2 tablespoons of parsley.
Well, what I was
Chopped.
thinking about,
Remove these things.
okay, what other question? How about, do you guys have any other questions on the fly besides the ones you sent? No?
What was your costume this past weekend?
Oh, yeah. You know, that's a lot of people have asked me, you know, now that I'm off the farm, you know, why do I still do this and stuff? And, you know, I tell people, I said, you know, I've lived on this farm for 30 years. I've been a major part of pumpkin season too. You know, it's just like any job. There's some people that are in the forefront. There's some people that do a lot behind the scenes. I would say Matt does a lot behind the scenes, you know, helping get all that done. And I'm out there, you know, y'all come to my, you know, farm, my home and stuff. You might have seen it on TV, but this is not a set. This is my home. And so I really enjoy, I always answer a question in a roundabout way. I'm so sorry about that. So I really like, even though I'm off the farm, I love meeting people. People come
Yeah.
from all over
Bucket
to,
list.
yeah, to
All over
come,
the world.
to come to our farm. And I'm like, how can not someone not be here? So I'm out there, you know, greeting everyone. I used to only wear a costume like the last weekend or the last day of pumpkin season in the early years. But lately, in the last several years, I'm like, you know what? I want to change it up because it's kind of fun for me. And then some of the kids get a kick out of it. I'm not like a witch or any of that, you know, gory stuff. It's pretty tame. And so this past weekend, my daughter-in-law, Isabel, Jacob's wife, wanted to do the 70s. So I dressed up in a 70s outfit. Then I was a pirate on Saturday, because a lot of it has to do with what kind of weather are we having. And then yesterday, it was supposed to rain, but it didn't, but I was Minnie Mouse. So a lot of kids got a kick out of that, you know, especially the girls and the boys. And because, you know, if they've been to Disneyland and, you know, stuff like that. But I've been a scarecrow. I have been, what else was I?
Sports figure you had on.
Well, no, that was last year though.
Oh,
I was a
last
cheerleader, butterfly.
You haven't done your
Oh, wait a minute.
steampunk yet?
What was I last weekend now?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh my goodness, how can you forget so easily? Scarecrow, 70s, cheerleader, butterfly.
That's it. You've only been open 2 weekends, right?
No, but cheerleader? What were they gonna do that weekend? Okay, this is sad. This is so sad. I have to go
look it
in
up.
my camera and look at the actual
Look on her
picture.
social media. She posted
Oh
it.
my goodness. Anyway, different costumes, I guess. That is crazy.
I can't remember either. I know you've posted pictures, but
What
I'm
was
not
the
sure.
second weekend now? A scarecrow was one of them. Oh, Wonder Woman. I was Wonder Woman. But anyway, you get the point. And
Yeah, people from all over come because where
Yeah.
else can you go from a reality TV show and meet the actual people
in their home.
in their home or at their home and meet them and actually take a picture or talk or, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. You guys have been doing this for
20 years at least.
20 years.
Pumpkin season for 20 years.
So Amy's
And-
kind of the front person. That's where people want
Yeah.
to meet her. They, like she said, Matt's kind of doing the back stuff and Amy's the kind of the anchor,
The host.
the hostess. with
Well,
the
you know what?
hostess.
One person yesterday came to the farm and she was there in the very beginning of pumpkin season when my kids were really young. Well, we've been doing this for 20 years. We gotta be doing it more than that because my boys are 31. Or yeah. We probably were doing this at least 25 years. But back in the early days, I had a little bell out there. We had a little pumpkin patch and gourds we planted, but you know, people got to almost run all over the property. No way could we have that now. Yeah. There's way too many people. And so anyway, she was there at the very beginning. She
That's
remembers
awesome.
walking around the whole farm and
Wow.
I'm like, man, that was a long time ago.
Wow.
So I have fun doing it. And the stories I get to hear, you know, being on the show, it's a great way to, I have an opportunity to really interact with people. You know, I was like, why do you watch the show? Like, you know, was it just purely entertainment? Or so occasionally I get some really neat, I get to hear
Mhm.
some really neat stories. And, you know, like anything else, I do speaking engagements and I just talk about my life, what are key elements that have, you know, got me from there to here and about the show and stuff like that. But anyway, I remember speaking at this one college and, you know, college kids, you never know the impact you'll have with them. But this one girl came up to me afterwards. This one young girl came up to me afterwards. She was struggling in college and I don't know exactly what her situation was, but she was like, I wasn't going to come to your speak. You know, I was ready to quit college. You know, she was probably depressed and it wasn't going well or whatever. And she goes, I am so glad I came because you've inspired me. What you said about this and this and that, about, you know, yeah, life is tough. You've got challenges, but it's not about that out there. It's about, you know, what's going on in here. You got to figure that out and keep plugging away because if you give up here, it's not like out there is going to be any easier. So try and figure out what's going to help you to overcome some of those challenges. Or, you know, I can't remember specifically what I told her or what I said in the speech. But I thought, I don't care if I did not touch any other person in that audience, but I thought I touched one and it made a difference in that one person's life. And that's how I think of, you know, what you guys do in your own life.
Mhm.
We all want to like make an impact somewhere, but I think also we have certain unrealistic expectations. And I thought, no, man, I touched one person. You never know who you're going to touch or impact until later. And that's why the whole big thing is, now I feel like a mom and I'm preaching, oh dear. My big motto now is, you know, we're all MVPs, but it's not most valuable player, but it's you matter, you have value and purpose. And we're always looking out there from other people to get that. And I thought, you know what? Sometimes you have to, but ultimately you got to believe it yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on this stuff out here. You've got to know that you matter, you have value and purpose. And not everyone can be a CEO. There's going to be some people that are great at custodians, but that's great. if that's what you're good at and that's what you like and that's what you can do, honor that. So anyway,
Okay,
back to cooking.
let's
Oh, yeah.
back to cooking.
Okay,
So,
here, I'm doing this. Okay, we added that stuff to this, right?
yeah,
Okay, let's see what's happening. All right.
it's ready to go.
Yes, it is. And now we are going to add in, we're gonna add in the roux. It's very thick because that'll be helping our soup get thick. So we're just gonna pour this right on in here.
You can use the roux for a lot of things. You can
Oh,
make
yeah.
it for macaroni and cheese,
Yep.
all different types of soups to thicken and give it that flavor, especially to butter.
Hey, Lisa, can you read how much I need? I think it's 2 cups of cream, one of half and half, or what do I have? in
2
here?
cups, half and half, and 2 cups of cream.
I tell you this pan is so big. Okay, if you don't mind the big one. So I added the roux mixture. Because sometimes I think it's hard to make a roux, not all the time, when you already got so much vegetable and do we have the pancetta? No, not yet. And then you're melting the butter, you're recooking the vegetables, and then you add the flour. So I made this in a separate pan. And I think the directions say that.
Okay, so 2 cups, half and half.
I'm gonna add a little more salt because it needs some salt. Sometimes I think, yeah. Sometimes I think when you have like a potato, very starchy thing, just like meat, it is good to season it. So we just added 2 cups of half and half. Now why half and half? Because I like it. Sometimes cream can be a little too thick. Cream is that big. Where'd you put it? Is it in the fridge?
No, it was right here. What? It was right here.
Big thing of cream.
By the clean water bottle.
By the water bottle?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. We didn't say we were professionals. I was
that's
like,
good.
did it just jump off the table?
Oh dear.
That's why you cook with friends, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the videos, if you've seen any of them on Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, my YouTube channel, it's just me doing it. I'm learning as I go along, even though I've been doing it for a year. But during COVID time and everything, when you got to do your own photography, your own video, you stop and go. And in fact, hang on for a sec.
Is your phone still on?
Hi, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you are enjoying it, and I would really appreciate it if you liked it and subscribed to it. And oh, don't forget to click that little bell up there and you'll be notified of future videos that are new and coming on my YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that. And I would really appreciate it if you shared the video and let other people know and encourage them to subscribe and like the videos as well. So anyway, thank you, and back to the video.
Man, I hope that uploads. Yeah, I do a show and I know how many people and everything is involved in doing a show, but doing this by myself, it's like, well, I forget to take the picture at the different, like now, I forgot to take the pictures at the different stages, but I thought, well, you guys aren't going to want to see all of that. It's boring, because I can't cut and bring you back, cut to commercial and bring you back. So anyway, one person, I follow a lot of people. I love the Rachel Ray show. I love the Food Network and, some of the people on the cooking channel, now you got to stream everything. You can't get them on cable, or you can, but they're repeats and, stuff like that. But the one thing I love about Rachel Ray, man, she's real. Her kitchen has got a lot of stuff all over it. She cooks great meals, but she cooks a lot of meals that everyone can kind of relate to and maybe switch it up and make it their own as well. I mean, she's great. I had the opportunity of being on her show a couple times back in the early years of doing our show. and it was awesome. I loved it. In fact, I received my first Le Creuset, I think that's how you spell it, you say it, pot from that show. And of course, the knobs are a little different now and everything. But anyway, it was great.
Wow, this is
How,
starting to smell good.
Yeah, how are we looking here?
Looking good.
Yes. See, it's not as thick as I thought.
Oh,
We'll let
yeah,
this cook
it's
for a
gonna,
little
you
bit.
have to let it cook. Yeah, that flour isn't really bubbling.
Yeah, we'll
We
just
need to
turn it up a little bit.
bit.
Okay, I'm assuming y'all like New England clam chowder soup. Okay. Do you like it thick? Or a little bit, loosey-goosey?
Definitely
Thick
thicker.
for sure. Yeah, with crackers.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah, crackers are a good thing to crack over and put on top.
Well, I'm thinking that I might have needed a little bit more of the roux, but we're gonna let it cook for a little bit, because it was thick in the beginning, we added the cream and the half and half. I debated, yeah, we'll add that. I wanna get it,
Thicker.
going a little
Okay,
bit.
let me keep an eye on it.
And before we add the clams, because I don't want to toughen up the clams.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see if this thickens it up to, a consistency that I would love. If not, I might have to up that flour to maybe like 2.5 cups. No,
I think it's gonna be thick.
like maybe 3/4 cup of butter and 3/4 cup of flour, just to give it a little more thickness.
Yeah, I don't think the roux is cooked yet, because we just kind of all put it together.
Oh, I know, but I cooked it in this pot
The roux.
and I added it in here. Yeah,
But
this
it
has
should-
gotta,
yeah.
yeah, this needs time. So anyway, hopefully that'll be done before we all leave. How long has it been? Oh, we've been on for an hour. Do you guys got a little more time? Are we all good?
I'm good.
Okay.
More minutes.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Alicia?
I have about 20 more minutes. I just have to pick up my
Okay,
kids.
good.
We'll get it done by.
We're gonna hope that this, thickens up a little bit so I can at least show a bowl to you guys.
Do you want the thyme and the parsley in now? Well, it's
No, not
cooking down.
parsley. We'll add that in the very beginning, but I will definitely add this. We're gonna add in the thyme. Once it starts like bubbling a slow boil, I'll add in the pancetta and the clams.
Right now, it's kind of like a potato soup.
Yeah,
Very good.
well, that's what I mean. I'm not sure if,
I'll just watch it. Let it peek it. I got it.
I'll put the lid on. Okay, we'll let that cook for a little bit. Any other, do we have more questions that they submitted? Or any other questions
What's
you
your
all may have?
favorite genre of music?
Oh, man, you know what? I've been asked that question before. Who asked that?
Stephanie and
Stephanie.
Emily.
Okay, Stephanie and Emily. I like all kinds of music. A lot of times it depends on what mood I'm in. Like going to the farm for pumpkin season, I got country music on. Usually on road trips, I like to go down memory lane. So, obviously I'm a little bit older than you all. And so I will listen, to classic rock or the Eagles or Lionel or kind of like that Phil Collins and Journey and
Frank Sinatra.
Bon Jovi and,
Like the 40s and 50s.
well,
I
that
like
depends on what mood I'm in. And so like when I was thinking about my mom and dad a lot and everything, I'll listen to Frank Sinatra or the 40s music or maybe even the 50s. And
Yeah.
so basically it really depends on what mood I'm in. But I usually like the 70s and some of the 80s. Like, I remember in college, Madonna and, all those people.
Do you guys know who those people are?
I was born in the 80s, so a lot of our childhood was Phil Collins, Madonna, the Eagles, all of that music was what our parents listened to. It was great. I still love it.
Parents listen to.
Well, yeah. Well, my kids, some of the music that they listen to, I'm like, man, that's really nice. Like, who is that? Of course, I've never heard of it, but it's really good music. But now we got Spotify, and I think it's Spotify and Pandora. I'm like, oh, I have to get hooked up on one of those things. So the kind of music I really don't like is that really hardcore rock where, as my parents thought we were listening to, these people are just screaming. Like you don't even know what they're talking about. Or rap. But there's some good rap music though too. But in general, I don't like rap. And I also listen to Christian music. Like Toby Mac is kind of like Christian. I mean rap, but he's a Christian singer. And he's got a band, and I had an opportunity to meet him one time, but I love it. I mean, just the type of rap and everything. And I thought that's great to have somewhat of that variety of music for that genre of style, which is Christian music. But anyway, so
I've been amazed at how he still stays relevant at his age, because he's
oh,
still
wow.
to this day, and people are listening to his music, but he's been around forever.
He has.
But music's universal though. And
But to last that long,
yeah,
it's
just keep
amazing to me.
reinventing.
Well, it's like the Rolling Stones are still around.
Rod Stewart just came out with a new
Yeah.
album.
I mean, that's just crazy. The one song I like, Help Is On the Way by Toby Mac. Love that song. That's a new one that he's got out now. But anyway,
I still want this to burn.
it's not going to burn.
Okay.
I'm going to chop this up a little bit. I did cook my pancetta, but just like bacon, I didn't want big chunks of all of it. So I'm just going to do a rough chop here. Make it a little bit smaller pieces. So you got
Yeah.
just a little bit floating through. How many, well, you guys live in Pennsylvania, so you might have done this or had an opportunity to travel there. Has any of you traveled to Massachusetts, Boston, and any of that?
Yeah, I actually went to college in Vermont. So I've spent a lot of time in New England. Yeah, so I've been to Boston, Massachusetts, all that good stuff. Lots of good seafood.
You know where Stowe, Vermont is?
I do. My gym class was snowboarding at Stowe, which was wild. Yeah.
My daughter lives in Boston, and they have a vacation home up in Stowe that we go and visit.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So we'll get out there again here pretty soon. But yeah, that was the coldest I've ever been in my whole life.
It's really cold.
I think it was like 10 below, and we got to the rental car from the airport, and my hands felt like they were going to break off, and I could hardly breathe just walking to the rental car. That was cold.
Yeah. Have you ever had Boston or New England clam chowder out there?
I have. Delicious.
And what do they have in it that's different from what I'm doing? Because it's been a while since I've been actually out there, and I can't remember.
I haven't seen pancetta. I like that that's being added. I've never seen that. I feel like bacon, if anything, but I've never used pancetta or seen that. So that I'm excited to try that on my own.
Bacon, but I think it has I don't know. I'm not going to say a little less fat, but it cooks up quicker. You can crisp it up a little better, and it's very slim layered. But you also can get big chunks of pancetta too, and then cut it up in smaller chunks and everything like that. I'm not going to say it's a little it's saltier. You just may not get the different flavors of bacon, because you can get peppered bacon, you can get different flavors of bacon. But I just thought pancetta would be a nice touch to this.
Cup and a half, 2 cups?
Well, I
2
did
cups.
2 packages.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to use some of this as just a layer of a garnish. Or you can add here. I'll put a little more in.
Now what about the parsley?
And then we're going to add in all our shrimp.
Or clams.
Oh, yeah, shrimp. Oh, my goodness. That would be a sad story, wouldn't that be? We're going to add in the rest of our clam, or all of our clams, and
The fresh one.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
the few that I was able to shop.
You're weird.
Oh, Lord. All right. Living on the farm in the early years when my kids were young, we raised pigs and we butchered them. And, we had someone, not without being graphic too much. Yeah, we'll add just one little shake, because I don't
Right
want
now?
it too hot.
We're gonna add a little red pepper. just
Yeah,
a shake.
I would just do one shake. Or if you don't think that's enough that came out, you can do another one.
I got it.
I just don't want it like too hot, too spicy.
Yeah.
Because I think it should be that nice, rich, creamy flavor. Anyway, okay, you know, we shot the pigs at the farm and we had a food processor, you know, butcher the pigs and, you know, do its thing. Well, the boys were young and Matt's like, oh yeah, let the kids come out. I'm like, no. Sometimes you don't need to, you kind of like need to understand the process. You don't always need to have a visual of the process. And so doing the clams is one of those things. I wanted to give it a try because, you know, I'm not having them in a restaurant where they're all doctored up and, you know, whatever. But I thought, you know, it's always nice sometimes to go through the process and just see. But I will probably not do real clams again because I don't think I know how to
Well,
really clean them.
wait
well.
till we try it though and taste a canned clam versus a real
Oh, I think the real clam will be better.
clam.
But it's like, what do you keep and not keep of this little itty bitty piece of meat? But anyway, chopped clams is good too. I think you may need more cans than you realize because half of it is just the juice.
Mhm. And if you have like a Sam's Club or a Costco, I know they have the larger canned clams and they're supposed to be delicious. So that might be an option too. And a little bit of Maryhill, which is local,
winery.
Washington,
Oh yeah,
rosé. Gotta have a little taste.
I mean, if you don't know, I'm a big fan of local. I love my local farmers market. And during pumpkin season, I was bummed that I wasn't able to finish it out and go there because, you know, we're open on Saturdays and stuff. This weekend, it might be rainy, so I'm in a big debate as to, okay, what am I going to dress up as?
Oh, Deb
Because
and
I'm
I
going to
were-
need an umbrella.
Deb and I were gonna come out this weekend. It's supposed to rain.
Well, haven't you been listening to the weather?
No,
Why not, man?
because it's been so nice. I
Well,
don't
when
know.
you're a farmer, you have to listen to the weather. So did I get some bowls? Oh yeah, here's some bowls. I think these might be a little big. These are a little big.
No, then we can see what it looks
Okay.
like.
We'll do
You
these.
guys, it smells delicious and it's thick. So good job, Amy.
Now, I know a lot of people will use those little oyster crackers, which are absolutely fabulous because I love them.
Oh, yeah, for the.
But
fashion.
for a dinner meal or something like that, because Chris would definitely add it to them on top of having bread. I like having bread and heating that up or toasting it just a little bit because when you got some of that broth, that cream, you know, you can just, you know, soak it up with that bread. I have some in the fridge.
Oh. Ooh,
Okay.
crusty French bread.
Well, we're gonna heat this up a little bit. Warm it up, microwave.
Mm.
Okay, one of the things I'm really excited about in my kitchen. Oh yeah, you guys can see it. I'm gonna get rid of this microwave because I want this opened up. I never think a fan is strong enough on a microwave over the stove.
Yeah, the exhaust.
So we're gonna get rid of this because I have another microwave in my corner of my kitchen on a little stand that, you know, I mean, I only use a microwave that melts stuff, heat stuff up. I don't cook in it except maybe popcorn. And then a real fan, but I'm excited because, you know, this is my kitchen. I'm gonna get a new stove top here and then the open part of the wall where the microwave is removed. If we need any sheetrock work, Chris has been a sheetrocker, so he'll know what to do. But get fancier tile so it would have a little decorative stuff. But I'm hoping for these little cooking things that I do, it just brightens up the kitchen and doesn't feel like you're going into something.
Like
that-
a hood, an overhead hood.
Yes, an overhead hood.
I think this is done.
Okay,
I'm gonna turn it off.
well, let's warm up this bread a little bit because I use this one and I'm gonna get rid of. You know, I'm gonna use this one over there.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. On your clam chowder, have you ever put cheese on it?
Just as a garnish.
No.
I've
Yeah.
had cheese on it. Yeah.
As a
So-
what?
Some, she's had cheese on it, but some are yes, some are no.
Who's a yes?
I have. I've had thick like cheddar on it. Grated
Yeah.
cheddar. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did, but I love cheese. So I'm never gonna not like cheese.
Okay, Emily, you were a flat no. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to, words.
You're good.
Why not? Just, it doesn't do anything for you?
I've just never had it with cheese. I love cheese. I'm more than willing to. I've just never had it with it.
Why? No, you're having cheese on yours. Why are you skipping it?
Because
You told me to use this
no,
cheese.
you wanted the cheese.
Oh, brothers.
We're like Lucy and Ethel.
No, you said, use the cheese.
No, I
use the
said
cheese.
use the butter,
Oh, brothers.
not the cheese.
Well, we're putting cheese on yours. You're gonna see how it tastes. I would only use cheese as like a little garnish. I've gone to some restaurants and I've had it. But I think one reason why people don't want the cheese, because you got potatoes in here. It's a cream-based soup. So you don't want to feel like you're also having like a potato clam soup. This is Boston. This is New England clam chowder.
You want these toasted a little more?
No, we don't have time for that.
Okay. Add some butter.
Okay. Let's dish this baby up. Woo-hoo. Lisa lives about 45 minutes away from me, so she has graciously come here, to be in my kitchen to help me with this. And so I said, well, you know what?
It's not that far.
If you come on out, guess what? You get a free meal.
Yeah.
So
I live in Happy Valley, so downtown Portland is on one side, is in the middle. She's on the west side, I'm on the east side.
yes, yeah, I like this.
It's really thick. How can we show them?
I don't know, but I wish I had better.
Here.
I think it's in the pantry, but I'll show it to them. Hang on. I wish you guys could taste it and smell it. Okay, this is the soup. You see that there? I hope it looks good. But see, I like it.
Really good.
You get to see a lot of the, now why it's not so white. I might have done the roux just a tad too long, but I think this is still good.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what's like in it. You can see the little carrots, the little specks of carrot, and I'm hoping there's enough clam. The potatoes are bite sized. They're not these big hunky pieces or whatever. Anyway, you can fit things on a spoon and actually, put it in your mouth and have a little bit of everything. So I'm gonna just put just a little bit of parsley on here, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of cheese. Tell you the truth, I was gonna do a little pancetta for the garnish, but it's already in the soup. I don't think you need it on top. So yeah. So that's my version of New England clam chowder. So what's gonna happen, I'm gonna make some tweaks on this recipe. I will resend it to you guys. If by chance you have a chance to make it, I don't care if it's tomorrow or 3 months from now, and you wanna, email Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen, I'd love for you to give me your input on it, or maybe what you changed, because I don't know, I'm always interested in that. And
We have to taste it.
oh yeah. Do any of you guys watch my videos, my cooking videos, Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen? It's okay.
I watch
if you
them
don't.
on
Send them to me
Instagram.
a lot. Yep.
I do. I send them on Instagram to my sister. I've made your cheesecake and I love that recipe.
Okay,
So good.
pumpkin cheesecake is coming your way. I absolutely love it. I shared it with, which I don't think it's going to be too much. In fact, I'm going to look at my original cheesecake recipe and see, what's the change in it. I gave it to my son, Jeremy and Audrey, because Chris and I are like, man, we'd be blimps if we ate the entire thing. Chris is already like, yeah, I'm telling my friends that, yeah, this is what married life does to me.
I know you're cooking all the time.
But they really loved it, and Audrey wants the recipe, so it's always nice And I love her because she'd be frank. She'd be like, oh, well, it maybe needs this or this. So they loved it. So I was really happy about that.
Okay, we have to try a bite. Okay, you ready?
Oh,
Mm,
I like that.
mm.
It's hot.
It's super hot. It is excellent.
You know what I think it just needs? Probably not though.
A little salt.
No, not salt. No.
What?
Pepper.
Oh,
Just a little
pepper.
sprinkle of pepper. Want some? Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm in a restaurant. Oh, would you like some pepper?
Okay, you guys have to try making this. It is delicious. It's creamy.
Yeah, I think it's
It's got, every bite has a little piece of either carrot or celery or potato.
and the one thing I like about a creamy soup too is I want my spoon to have something always in it. I don't want to be put my spoon in a soup and come up with just the broth or the cream.
Yeah.
When it's a creamy soup, because I mean, let's face it, this is probably a little fattening, but who cares? On a cold winter's night,
I know, this is
Chili?
comfort food.
yeah, I mean,
Total
this is like
comfort
just
food.
warms you up.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you guys have to try and make it.
anyway,
Oh my gosh.
well, I appreciate you guys willing to be here and just kind of chit chat and kind of do this little New England clam chowder with me. I really appreciate that. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And thanks for following me, Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. And if whatever your social media is, I'd love for you to ask people to follow me on, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But is there any other last questions or anything you want to ask?
No, just thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you at the farm.
Oh, I hope so too, because I will be there, rain or shine.
Yes, and please email back your contact information. We have a little gift we'd like to send you today for
Yeah.
being on with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing is, if you do watch the show or think it's still on or whatever it may be, the wedding episode may be coming out in November, so check that out.
Yes,
Um,
I'm sure it'll be
They-
amazing.
I just had an opportunity to see the preview of it, a little bit of the preview. And not that we get to change anything really in the preview, but it just gives us an idea of, what they're putting out there and stuff. Oh my gosh, they could have made this. Well, they could have made it into a 3-hour episode, but for the audience, it probably would have been boring. For me, I would
We
say,
know what went
oh
on.
yeah, man, you captured everything.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be
yeah.
exciting. And
Yeah.
she just looks gorgeous in her dress. And Chris, he
Yeah.
owned that day.
Oh my
He
gosh,
owned
he
the day.
did.
So I
I
can't wait for it.
I married a good man. I married a very good man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. So like I said, you'll get an updated recipe and we've got a small gift for you. Just out of appreciation of taking the time, not only following me, but responding and,
Yeah.
being on here. I have a ball. And
We
so,
do.
yeah.
We do. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you guys and happy holidays.
Cheers.
Yeah.